Futures downside a little bit to start things off here on a Monday morning, although we are trying right now actually to get back to the upside. Lots of individual movers, meanwhile, to talk about. Yeah, nice gap for Boeing. That's a 15-minute chart coming off a little bit from the highs in the pre-market here, still up more than 3%. We'll tell you why coming up here in a second. Tesla to come this week. We'll touch on Tesla, and I mean, it really hasn't, we were mentioning on Friday, it really hasn't done much since the robotaxi event going back a week or so ago. We got the big gap to the downside, and it's been pretty choppy ever since. So will it move into earnings? What will the deliveries look like? Lots of questions to be answered going into that earnings report. Meanwhile, more small caps to deal with this morning as well. Drug was the big one last week, still kind of hanging out near or at some of the significant levels from not only Friday, but going back to the big run up the prior session as well. There's a few other ones today flying around. We'll talk about those as well. But welcome to a brand new week here as we get going. I mean, 14% is not nothing, I guess, for Bright Minds, but decent volume behind this as well. To kick things off, there are a few downside I was just noticing that we were talking about going back to last week as well.
I just remember the eye-watering images that you showed me last week of people trying to short this thing off the top and the six-figure digit hits they were taking. Lots to talk about today, guys. China cutting the overnight rate about 25 bips there, so we'll keep our eye on KWeb and some of these other Chinese names. Separately, Save, what's it called? Southwest Airlines is up about 36% on the back of more discussions with Elliott Management, looking to take an activist position there. It looks like they're going to get a bunch of board seats. And DJT's up again, Brendo, so lots to talk about.
We were just saying before we came on, I mean, 3 weeks ago until the election, we'll probably hear more and more from DJT or the stock itself. Anyways, going into that, of course, big order coming through here, meanwhile, for Boeing. Emirates Sky Cargo offering 5 more Boeing 777 freighters. How they're going to make those and when remains to be seen, but at least Boeing's getting some orders coming through. So, I mean, that's never a bad thing. Tesla, NVIDIA on watch is here, already green with the market downside, guys. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Market's down, but it's a big week this week, man. Like, you get to deliver. Well, okay, fine. Obviously, everyone wants to see how Tesla is doing. We get that vote on Wednesday for Boeing, see if they get a deal done. Of course, drug is up already like 19% today. After halting, it was a halt fest to the downside in the afternoon on Friday, late afternoon on Friday. It was a rocket ship on this and a host of other small squeeze type names in there. It's all about the low float. So there's a few of them running again today. If it ends up that these are the ones that go in the afternoon, the only thing to trade was like eFresh and this and EFRSH, whatever. It's like 1840 something limited, which I'm just calling eFresh because that was the ticker. But they were all the rage on Friday in terms of afternoon trade. But can't ignore Tesla. Tesla's not going to have this same $3 range for the entirety of this week like it did like for 4 days in a row. It's not going to happen. We're going to get some moves on Tesla this week.
China down today to 1.6%. What's up to everybody here? You saw the Packers yesterday take out the 5-1 Houston
that was a good
Texans
game.
There. That was a good game. I'm expecting more from that to come. And then you guys took care of
the Titans. We didn't really have a match.
I don't want to. Yeah, not much there yesterday for that one. But yeah, good day. And then today, and then of course Aaron Rodgers gets beat by Russell Wilson and completely outplayed by the $1 million man. Russell Wilson signed that deal. Still getting paid by Denver, of course. And they wind up. So the Jets last year. So it was a really sad year for them, right? Because on the very first drive, Aaron Rodgers tears his ACL.
Yeah.
So, but at this point last year, the Jets were 4-3 without Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not even sure who was quarterback. I don't even remember. And this year, they're now 2-5, and they've beat Jacoby Brissett and the New England Patriots, and Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans are their only 2 wins. So that's pretty hype.
Crimea River, New York. You're in the World Series. So.
Yeah, and the Dodgers won, right? I guess
the Dodgers.
Yeah,
won,
okay, yeah. I wasn't. That was 7 or 8-3, and then I turned it.
Yeah, they ended up. I think it was like 10-16.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Major League Baseball got exactly.
I would have liked the Subway Series.
I was kind of hoping for a Subway Series too. A couple people.
I am happy for Shohei and all that.
Shohei versus Judge is exactly, like if it was scripted at the beginning of the year, that's pretty much what MLB would want.
Yeah.
Kind of like how, you know, in the NFL, which is absolutely never scripted, they would not want to see Kelsey
The NFL, no.
and Mahomes
No, that's not scripted at all.
in the final. Like there's no chance they want to
They
see
have,
that.
they have integrity over there.
Tons of integrity.
Yeah, and the refereeing is very, very good. Okay, I was wondering, we have Ramin is back, so welcome back to Ramin.
Yeah.
Who comes back. There she is. Doesn't take
And
long to get
too.
her on the screen. She's very excited. She is very excited. We need to get some matcha going on here to get everybody. Yeah, Dara's here as well. We're very Fabian, by the way. I mean, he's always
there
here.
too.
He's always here. And then Brendan and Sharif. Let's go over there, and then we'll talk to Michael Noss soon, maybe.
Ramin straight off a plane? Straight off a plane.
The first thing I asked her, I'm like, did you bring back those Dubai chocolates? And you know what she answered back, Brendo? Yes. I haven't had any.
She knows you. She knows you. News on drug here, guys. So heads up. It's not really doing a heck of a lot, but drug. Brightmind's confirming what we talked about last week, that they're teaming up with our friends over at Firefly. So shout out to Firefly Neurosciences, AIFF, to collaborate on a phase 2 breakthrough study evaluating safety, tolerability, and efficacy of BMB 101 in adult patients. So again, AIFF is Firefly, again, teaming up with this one, drug. Bright Minds just came out there on a press release. Yeah, Sean, I was at the gym this morning and saw Hazel May was on the field for the end of the Dodgers game and interviewed Teoscar Hernandez. It was the first player that she ran over and grabbed. So it was good to see Teoscar's going to the World Series. Of course not with the Blue Jays, but
Of course not, I know.
one can only wish.
He was one of my favorite players on there. Great contact hitter, but obviously not with the Jays. Disney moving here, Brendo. Not a bad look. So this is going to be interesting here. Disney naming James Gorman as a new chairman, and they're going to announce a new CEO. So it looks like Big Bobby Iger's tenure is going to come to an end in early 26. According to this article, it's not doing much, up 0.17. But I didn't know that they were looking at replacing Bob Iger. I didn't know he was coming on an interim basis after Chapek. I guess he's.
I'm more curious as to why that's such a positive, Fabian. Fabian thinks he's ruining Disney. Okay. Yeah, I was just reading that as well. So chairman stepping aside. Yeah. January 2nd. So we'll keep an eye on Disney. Not a lot of volume behind that move, but it did go red to green there for Disney. But yeah, some news on drugs, some news on AIFF, some news on Disney there.
What I'm just reading there, I think, and I was just listening to it because I was trying to figure that story out, because Disney names James Gorman as the chairman. So I don't know if that has anything. Is he replacing to announce next CEO early 2026? Okay. So they are going to announce a new CEO at some point in early 2026. So yeah, interesting levels there. I was looking at the same thing as what Brendan was just saying there. Not much movement on the stock, so I wanted to sort of see what that story was. So I guess it would be just a planned situation there. It's nice when a company announces that they're, removing a CEO, so you don't get a situation like Brian Nickel there with Chipotle and Starbucks and everything like that. And but anyways, you could see here Disney not moving too much on that. But again, a positive stock. I've actually said this before. I'm surprised at how well Disney's doing right now. But again, they get that good sort of hopefully tailwind from this guy over here, Netflix. I mean, Netflix. Wow. Again, wasn't here Friday, but was here definitely Thursday. We talked about this on the recap show, and it didn't even stop, Like it just opened up on Friday higher than where it was on the earnings, and then just kept on going higher and higher and higher until eventually, sure, closing down $5 there, but still at its high of the day, of the year, of all time, 765. So you're going to get some push through on some of those stocks for sure. The market has now been up for 6 straight weeks. So, it's going to be tough to find names that you're not going to like right now. If your portfolio is not doing that well, maybe there are some laggards in here. Not NVIDIA. Other chip names continue to maybe lag a little bit as we wait to see this. I have an idea written down on here, and that was NVIDIA up at 140. So I feel like we ought to be very, very patient with that one. As you can see here on the daily chart, 140 has been a situation for us. I didn't check really too much out on Friday. I know Uber's a name that I've recently bought, so I want to watch that one around that $80 level. Some action there as well on Friday as we dipped back in and then did not break through it. So that could be a level of interest. And then we started the show off with some of the Chinese names, our discussion, at least looking at China, and it's just like, wow, down 1.62% again goes FXI. And Alibaba actually broke 100. Well, now it's right at 100 right now. So Alibaba had a 99 print on it this morning.
It's battled that level before, Alibaba.
I'm gonna buy some more.
That 100 level. I like the fact that it's crossed 100 a couple times while still maintaining the level. But Disney does get a little bit interesting here. I mean, I don't know. Look, we don't know necessarily, how this is always going to shake out from here to the open. But at least for now, without jinxing it, it's green when the market's red, right? So it's very, very slightly up. But the bigger deal would be on the daily out here on Disney. It's got a double top here at about 97.5. The current high today, or so far in the pre-market, right now, you're just sitting right there going back into September, bit of a double top. Now, obviously, there's some overhead resistance here at $99, but Disney does look a little bit exciting. It's not a ton of pre-market volume, but there you go, double top from Friday, today's high, go back to the September high. Suddenly, Disney looks rather intriguing for a potential break. It's just not a heck of a lot of volume to go along with this story here. So regardless of what you think of Disney and what they have or don't have going for it, Only Murders in the Building is quite good. But sympathy on Netflix, no questions asked, because Netflix knocked it out of the park and then was the break. It just kept on going and going and going. Disney looking to catch a little bit of that tailwind, I guess. It looks like here. That's 97.5. Looks like a pretty clean breakout level on that daily chart. And it could happen today. There's no reason why. Nothing holding it back, really. Market's weak. It's kind of strong. It has a decent catalyst in there. It's following Netflix coattails.
It was, I just want to say, we had sold some Alibaba there at 117, remember? So I think you're right, probably Hamster was just saying you don't need to just rush back into this thing. Because now that I look at this, I think you're probably right on all of this. I mean, it looks like right now you are hovering right around that $100 mark. So I think the next shoe to drop brings it, if there is one. I mean, just if they don't like, I mean, we talked about this. Here's a stimulus. Here's it coming right back in, right? This was not a horrible call to get long, but I think we could still fly into this 92, 94 area. That's sort of that gap that I'm trying to highlight right there with that one. So yeah, maybe you're right about Alibaba and FXI there. So we'll hold off. DraftKings, Bitcoin. Wow, Bitcoin actually right now 68. I actually was surprised it wasn't breaking through 70 by the time we came in today, but I guess it overnight didn't do too much. So 68.1 now for Bitcoin. We'll look at that. I was actually looking at some Mara as well. Yeah, DJT, I think those polls are getting more and more. Did you see Donald J there serving up some French fries? Did you see that?
I'm more interested in getting my million from Elon, but I did see that. Elon.
Well, what's Elon saying? I missed that one.
So Elon's got a petition. It's it's a petition supporting I think it's in Pennsylvania, one of the battles.
That's the battle. Yeah, it's the big one.
And so it's basically supporting the Constitution, and for every single day till the election, if you sign the petition, one person will be selected each day to get $1 million. Are
you allowed to do that?
I don't know. We did. Apparently, one guy already got the mill. We just gave a dude a check. Well, I mean, as far as I know, I don't know if it's legal or not. I don't care. I'm just saying, it'd be nice to.
I mean, can I give a proxy from here in Ontario?
Well, I'd do it. Hey, Elon, I'll sign that right quick. It doesn't matter.
What the issue was.
The person doesn't have to say they're voting one way or the other. They just have to apparently sign the petition. If you're there, you do what you do, but it is what it is.
I want to check those odds out, and the reason why is because of DJT right now 2% and at that $30 level. So this is going to be an interesting name here, because if you break through that $34 level on the daily chart, Donald J. Trump stock there could be going to the upside with only, I guess it's November 5th. It was 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks tomorrow or so. So it should be very, very exciting coming through. All right, let's go back over to the desk.
Market trying to get back higher right now. We're still about 0.25% for the S&P. NASDAQ about 0.5% lower. Just noticing oil back up 2% here this morning. Pretty negative week last week, including Friday, if you remember, we were down better part of 2% going into the open, I think. So back above $70 here for oil. Just made a move, pretty strong move, in fact, back higher. Just keeping an eye on, this is Firefly, remember, AIFF, 11 or 12.5% here in a couple of seconds. So just keep this one in mind. Nice pop on that news with drug as well. So AIFF catching a bid here this morning as well, back above 450. For Firefly. Worth mentioning, I mean, the guys mentioned it there, but Tesla downside, I just saw a session low alert there on Tesla. It did bounce right back up, but 1.3% here pre-market, definitely relative weakness versus the market.
Oh, no question about it. We're all ears for the earnings call coming up later this week as Tesla reports. A lot of questions need to be asked. A lot of questions were left unanswered during the robotaxi event. You know, he made certain statements with respect to unsupervised driving, coming up in California and Texas in 2024. We'll have to see when that ends up happening. We're talking about robotaxi production for 2026 for under $30,000. Lots of different questions. Also, the other unanswered questions is what their margins are going to look like, because they've had a competitive advantage amongst all their competitors with much better than industry standard margins, but they've been compressing, Brendo, because they've been cutting prices.
Yeah, with the lack of information we got at the robotaxi event, it'll be interesting to see how many questions he gets on the call, specifically about the robotaxi event and not necessarily about the earnings call. So, like, when are we ever going to see, or are we ever going to see that van? I think would be really, really cool if they could come up with at least a timeline for something like that.
I love the different YouTube videos that have been coming on with different ideas of what to do with that van. Like, people were talking about, obviously, because we've had a lot of hurricanes and flooding, these vans could go into the Walmart,
of course,
which is apparently like a good community hub when there's issues like this, and provide people with places to stay, with food, water. Should be super interesting to see what they can do.
We're going to get Michael Noss on here in a couple of minutes. He has some ideas on crypto this week, guys. Back above, retouched anyways. 70,000, back above 68, still holding.
Yeah, it was disappointing, I thought, this weekend, because we had a poll on Friday, and the poll was, you know, were we going to break out? It wasn't just were we going to break out. We're going to break out and hold above 70,000 over the weekend. Because, you know, that trend line that we've all been observing that's been rejected pretty much every single time on BTC was once again rejected over the weekend. It just every shot we get at, and it's always a move, it's descending, so it's not like it's the same price over and over again, but BTC made an effort and just it couldn't quite get there. And obviously 70,000 is the big level out and about above this trend, which is, look, it's just all-time high, connect the lower high, like, however you want to do it, you need to break 70,000 if you want to break this trend to the upside. So it's got lower highs, but technically it's like bull flagging, like lower highs, lower lows. I think this break is going to happen, but as long as we're underneath, then you got to at least be, looking out for some like reversal plays. Because if we're rejecting here to do some kind of a pullback into another higher low and then eventually going to break, then you got to look at what your trading opportunities are off that. And that's going to bring me to Mara, which that same top, Mara has 19 on the daily. And with that 19 level kind of rejecting on the daily, if we don't break out the top of that trend line, then I look short 19. If we break the top of that trend line, break 70,000, I look longs over 19.10 on Mara. Just try to keep it pretty simple. Have BTC up or IBIT or whatever it is that you like to track, spot prices. And I want to play this one for like the pullback trade. And the moment comes that we break that 70,000 and that trend line breaks out, I think Mara's got a tremendous amount that it can go. However, it's relatively weak in the group. The moves that have been going on in the crypto space have been leaving this one behind a little bit, especially when you look at something like a coin or you look at like an MSTR in a general sense, and you know the miners just haven't done as well. Like Coinbase, pretty much every single day just putting in power moves last week with the exception of Thursday. But yeah, that 19 level, it's a short for me first on Mara. As long as we're not breaking 70,000, I don't want any piece of that thing short if we're actually breaking this resistance, which till it breaks, it is what it is on BTC. We thought it would happen this weekend and it didn't.
Yeah, for me here, I was just going to look at Mara again because I feel like Michael may talk about this. I've talked about this with him many times before. I just think that this looks to me like it wants to break through. We have the 200 period right here, nice little topping action, holding the 50 period. So I'm actually, again, want to say to try to be patient with this. That top is like basically 19. I mean, you do have, obviously there's some action a little bit above that. That candle right there is 19.15. So if we just go over and have a quick look at what's been happening here on the 20-minute, this little pop that we just referenced right here is just what's been going on now. So that's not going to be real enough for me. Right in there, 19, basically 19.10, like on a day trade. So I think we can get to that, especially if crypto starts going today, which maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We're going to hear from Michael in a second what his opinion is as well. But there it goes. This trend looks like your friend to me, holding the 50 period moving average right here. I like the long, I like the breakout through there as well. AIFF, we talked about Firefly, but again, the collaboration with Bright Minds right now, this name's going to be moving around and right that now, just failing off 5, but still nice move up today for AIFF, up over 14%. All right, let's go back over to the desk.
Just reading a note here on SecureWorks. SCWX is halted, news pending right now. Apparently this company is 79% owned by Dell, and Dell is looking to divest it. So SCWX, halted, news pending right now. Again, 79% owned by Dell. They're looking to get rid of SecureWorks. So we'll talk about that in a second. If he's good, guys, we can bring on Mr. Noss here and talk a little crypto as well, get some ideas on what to expect going into not only this week, but maybe the next couple of weeks here ahead of the election. Michael Noss, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you. How's it going? Yeah, so I'll address the crypto. I heard Sean in the green room there. I'll address that right away before we get started. And I'm a little bit tired because I was up all most of the night watching it. Not super keen on the action I saw. We had a nice clean break. I don't have a Bitcoin chart on me or in the slide deck, but it had a nice clean break on like a 1 or a 4 hour chart yesterday, and then just completely reversed and fell apart. So this upper end of this cup and handle I've been talking about seemingly for a year now is still struggling and still messing with people. But I will talk a little bit about Mara because that's actually what I have in the first slide. So what I'm going to chat about today is just a little bit of a lesson that I got a question from your guys' audience. And I love when I get questions because it makes my life on preparing these presentations much easier. Me and Neil were talking a little bit about using days to cover versus short float percentage as a way to kind of gauge whether or not this something has squeeze potential. So I'm going to describe this a little bit because Mara, coincidentally enough, when I put this together, was the perfect example that I came by where, yes, it's got a big short float. It's like 26% or so, a quarter of the shares are short. And that's great, but only has 2 days to cover. And that, to me, kind of limits the squeezability, if you will, if that's a new word that I just made up. So the next slide is just the math equation for days to cover, but don't worry, it won't be on any sort of a test. It's your amount of shares that exist in the float that are borrowed divided by the average daily volume. So let me just do some round number examples for you guys because it's early and I'm still working on my first coffee here. So let's say a company has 1 million shares outstanding. So there's 1 million shares in the float. And 10% of that, for example, is out there borrowed, right? So what 1 million shares, so 100,000 shares are out there just floating in the market that have been borrowed and have to be bought back. That's a 10% number. So that's either really good for a squeezability point of view, or it's really bad. And the difference is if that company trades 1 million shares a day, trades its entire float every day. We saw in drug, I think at one point it was trading like 100 times its float in the day, which is just absolutely insane. If it trades its float every single day, well, then it's only going to take these 100,000 shares or so an hour to get out of their position. It's very easy to cover. It's very liquid. The amount of shares that are borrowed, you could just probably buy at the market and it doesn't matter. Now, if you take that same 100,000 shares and the stock only does 25,000 shares or so in volume a day, right? Obviously not something you'd want to day trade that low of volume, but it means it's going to take them 4 days now to get out of the same percentage of a short float. So it takes the short float and then it compares it to the average daily volume to see how quickly could these how quickly could these shorts cover if they have to cover? So, like always, the next slide is just a scan we have. So you can email info@trade-ideas.com, or you can reach out to me on Twitter, which I see below me there, and you can get the scan where we have this number in. And this is just a scan that I went through that's sorted by these numbers. I got a couple stocks to look at, but as opposed to sorting at short float percentage, I short it by this days to cover. And you can see some of these get wild, where they've got 30 days to cover, which would mean that absolutely, it would take like a month to get out of the position. Now, if there is some sort of short squeeze event, that average daily volume number is going to skyrocket, which is going to allow the shorts to get a little bit quicker, but it means that there's a short squeeze going on, and that's what we want to be in. So it's a good number to prep for a short squeeze if that's what you're looking for. So first chart here is Mankind, MNKD. So we can just run these numbers pretty quickly. So this has about, like, say, 250 million shares in the float, and only about 15% of that 250 million shares out there to borrow. 15 is an okay short percentage number. It's nothing crazy. It's not low. It's not high. I'd say it's pretty much in the middle. But because we have a lower average daily volume on this, and that of those millions of shares that are out there borrowing, it's 29 days to cover. So that, combined with the fact that this is a nice looking trend, I've drawn out a very simple pattern here. We've got this kind of wedge triangle pattern happen, that if this breaks this, I think $6-7, give or take, and those shorts have to cover because there's some sort of event that occurs that makes them to cover, it's going to take them a long time to get out of their position. Or you're going to have one day where there's a whole lot of volume that's going to have to help to get them out. But either way, that's the situation you want to be in. Same with this INFN. This is another biotech company, so obviously be careful with these. Another 15% or so short float. However, that's 23 days to cover. So that's a full month and a bit to cover the position. And then I really like the candle on this one on Friday. You can see nice big body candle. There's some accelerated volume there as well. So these kind of names with this high short float, or the higher days to cover, get very interesting to me. Now, if you ever see something that 40% or even 30% plus of the float is short, I think you're okay with either number. There's just pros and cons to each. And I really like this days to cover as a bit of a way to see, is this stock squeezable? And the higher the number, the better. I'd say anything over 5 is pretty significant. Anything over 10 is crazy. And then if you get up into the 20s, it's just absolutely insane.
When you're looking at some of the biotechs specifically, we touched on this a little bit last week because they were so active, but I mean, the float itself, is there a number that you just say, I'm not touching this because this is crazy, or, anything's fair game? We had a few last week that were, sub $1 million on the free float, at least as far as tradable shares.
Yeah, I think float and market cap are good filters. I don't really look at any company that's under $1 billion, unless maybe if it's a stable chart. But I think one of these numbers, as opposed to saying I'm going to avoid it entirely or trade it, it would probably make more sense to adjust size accordingly. If I'm ever trading something like that drug company that just went, I'm treating it like a call option, right? I'm buying it and I'm saying I'm sizing this position that if I wake up the next day and the stock doesn't exist, I'm okay. Because just like buying a call option, if you're right, you can make multiple times your money. So I think you just have to size them accordingly, where you're never going to have a $100 million or $100 billion company double overnight, and you're probably not going to have it go to zero overnight either. So I think you have to size them accordingly. But yeah, for me, anything that gets, when I saw that company or a stock, I'm like, I'm just never going to trade this name. Just get it away from me.
Yeah, definitely fun for day traders anyways. Michael Noss, great stuff as always. Back with us again after the close tonight. We'll see you then.
Talk to you then.
Looking forward to it there, Michael, and thank you for that insight as usual. And one of the things that we know the day of, like, if a thing is squeezing, on the day that it's actually going, it's going to do like several times. Right. That whatever the float might be. We've seen it happen a million times, but before that happens, you want something which has a little more oomph to it. Speaking of which, Lumen happens to be up 18%, and on that number, it's one of those names. It's only 6.5% short, but it's 6.5 days to cover. So it's a better days to cover number, and without a gigantic short float. And Lumen, I mean, it's been a runner before. I think we talked about this probably several times. Last time it made a huge run. As you can see here, it did get to like $9. It just broke out on the daily here at about 7.5, and looks like it's trying to continue to go. There's been a few of them, and they've been very good volume and good afternoon style trades. A lot of times you want to let them settle down a bit, but Lumen looks like it's continuing to press here. So still some good bids in there. I wanted to double check that AIFF, because one of the things we like is if you have a chance to buy one of these back at breakout highs when they hold, like this has a pretty technical you can't make it up. It's 420. 420 high, 420 high, 420 high, holding above 420, holding that 11,
that's
12%.
Grapes.
So do like that look on AIFF. Randy. But wow, Randy, see.
Randy, if there's any Java, if that machine's working back there.
Sometimes you just got to have, instead of the banana, you got to get some vitamin C.
I got some.
Which is important.
Got the grapes. We had the green grapes.
Oh,
green versus red grapes discussion. I don't think you were there one day. We had a grape poll up, green or red grapes. I
usually see it's a crazy thing, but it's whatever mood I'm in.
Yeah, it's not. It's like whatever. What is?
It's a weird thing. Like sometimes I'll crave green grapes.
Oh, okay.
But most of the time I I do like.
It was pretty much 50-50.
Yeah, but like every now and then I'm like, oh, I only want green grapes this time. But I don't prefer them, which is a weird thing in a general sense. Like I'd rather have red, but. I do believe we have a chance for some upgrades and downgrades. I'm upgrading this tangerine.
Interesting today, starting with JD.com. This one, of course, one watched along with a lot of these Chinese ADRs after their rally starting in late September, followed by a bit of a pullback. Still down in the day, but getting this upgrade and a price target decrease from Loop Capital. GitLab getting a medium upgrade, up 3.5% right now. Gilead with an upgrade from Leerink Partners, and Ally Financial with an upgrade from Raymond James. This one's interesting, down in the day right now, and they actually traded much lower on Friday after their earnings report, despite the report itself being fairly positive. On the downgrade side, Canada Goose with a downgrade from Scotiabank. ServiceNow down over 2% with a Morgan Stanley downgrade, which actually included a price target increase. We have Hilton getting downgraded by Melius Research, and last but not least, Old Dominion, not its first time over the last few weeks being on this downgrade side. Today's downgrade coming from Stifel this morning, guys.
I think JD getting the upgrade when the entire space in China, like all of the Chinese stocks are to the downside, and they've been falling precipitously. I kind of feel like this one had a little bit of a ways to go. I was kind of hoping you'd see like this prior high be support at $36, obviously. You know, a lot of times in a stair step up, that's what you expect. Very much still in a down channel. It's been trying, like a lot of the others have been trying to make lows. I guess 38.5 would be the one that has to hold. It's interesting that BABA was bouncing at that Thursday low, whereas JD's already off of it. So this might actually be relatively strong. It could be because of this upgrade has a little bit more going with it, but. Yeah, I kind of wanted that 36 level. Looks a little bit better there. Like a breakout over 40 would make sense. But it was BABA that kind of had the attention because you're trading right off of that 100 support, which gives you a little bit of an over-under look here in Alibaba. Yeah, JD, maybe it'll get to that 40, and there's a good trade off of that. But BABA's at the $100 level. We'll pretty much get a test of that at the open. It did bounce off that 102. It was one of those trades where like the bounce worked, but it couldn't break 103. So Alibaba might be a little bit range bound off that level. It wouldn't surprise me.
All right, now up 155%, 160% Seattle Mobile. So we just got into it right now. So nice take there. We take out that $260 level. Now we are in it. We take out 10% at 65. Then we'll wait for some 70s, and we'll see if we can get a little bit higher after that. So right now we are into this Seattle Mobile as they launch. They get a new push there for their 5G. It's in our notes, so we'll probably be going over this at some point, but we are in this, looking to buy some more if we come back into 220. So SYTA out of only 10% here for 5 cents. But we're long at 60s here on that break. Let's see what winds up happening.
Just keeping an eye on Fed's Logan speaking right now. There were some comments coming across. Market's not really reacting to it, so nothing significant that we haven't heard yet, but just be aware. Some Fed speak happening right now. Let's have a look at the overall market. Lots of individual names moving around here this morning, so enough to touch on. Shariq's going to talk about the market.
59.05, Brendo. We closed above 5,900 on Friday, yet we're still below it again. So overnight low 58.83. We're currently at 58.93. If we claim 5,900 at the open, we're still looking at that 59.15 level that we've been rejecting off the last few days there as resistance. If we drop below the current price right now, we'll find likely support at 58.75.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you take advantage of an absolutely free resource. Head down to the description of this video right now. There's a link there to the watch list. All you need is an email address, and we send you that every single day or something similar. Has everything you need to know on it in the pre-market before we come on at 8:30. Let's talk Tesla ahead of Wednesday. After the close, we'll get earnings from Elon and Tesla. Downside here significantly so far this morning, 1.3%. As I mentioned earlier, if you zoom out a little bit, go back to the robo-taxi day. We get the big gap to the downside. We really haven't done much, just kind of chopping around in this range. We're back to the bottom end of the range again, coming back into this 215 area. Ahead of their report, interesting, Uber CEO Dara commenting on the robotaxi vision, at least from Elon Musk. A lot of the narrative that came out the day after the robotaxi event was, cool, looks great, but there wasn't much detail behind, when we could possibly see this or how we could possibly see this. So. Uber CEO kind of echoing that. Yeah,
and you brought up a really good point. Like, a lot of the call is probably going to be questions about the robotaxi event rather than earnings itself. But with respect to earnings, they are expected to post a 14.9% gross margin for their vehicle. That is very important for analysts as they've been keeping an eye on that number as it's been contracting with price cuts to boost demand both on this side of the ocean and on the other side. To bring it more specifically, though, they need to deliver more than 516,000 vehicles in Q4, Brendo, to match last year's total, and that's been tough going. But there is a bit of a tailwind with that increased China sales, 66% month over month in September, so they got a bit of a tailwind there.
Yeah, it might be a wait and see kind of a play ahead of Wednesday, but 215 is a huge level here, guys. What do we do with Tesla?
I like Tesla here. So I think for Tesla, for me anyways, he disappointed, and I'm not even really sure how or why, at that robo-taxi. I mean, it was not well received. I thought it was pretty cool. I feel like he's gonna do a better job this time around, and hopefully it starts with something said on the earnings call or some kind of guidance, and they'll take the negative aspects of the robo-taxi, maybe the delays or when they're expected to be ready by, all this kind of stuff, wrap it up and give us a better idea of what's happening moving forward. So I feel like they're going to do a better job with their earnings call than they did on that demonstration. And I just think that you're coming into some levels here. And again, for today, I'll talk about some levels for today, but with earnings coming a couple days away, I actually think if we can get into this 205, 210 area, even now, how specific are you going to get within a couple bucks here? But I kind of like this bottom right now. I feel like it's been a little washed down here. And today, I don't want to have my bias get in here because I don't really have one right now. I mean, the market is flat, down 0.38. But my bias would be towards the fact that I think Tesla is going to be a long. And it's just, I don't really like the short here. But again, it's price action that rules everything, right? So cash can sometimes rule everything around you, but right now it's price levels and action. So I think you're getting into this 217.50 area, and I mean we've broken below some of the support that's been here, and to me this has to be a short, right? I mean, especially if you can break, and if there it is right there. You're underneath all this possible support that's broken. We talked about trying to get long once it breaks above 225. Pretty boring, as Neil sort of said, the $3 range there for a long time. But right now, yeah, it looks like it wants to get lower. So then you're going to have to then try to pick a bottom, and it's going to be around 214 or 215. But for right now, unfortunately, it has to be a short. I just like the long. I think it's a long heading into the report. But for today, NASDAQ down, Tesla down. It's not on the sticky note, which is now out. But if it was, I guess it would be a short.
Hard to like it. I don't know. You just can't seem to break 222 change. That's the resistance that's been put on this thing. And I'd love to see it break, but until then, it's like fades back into that level. Maybe this is a day where it puts in a resistance that's lower at 210, 220, 221 or something like that. But yeah, just fading into that 220, the low 220 area seems like the way to go here on Tesla. Well, Elon got a question. Someone asked Elon at one of the more recent events. I don't remember which event it was. Why don't you buy Rivian? He was like, I wish them the best. But Rivian could actually break a big support sometime this week, 975. So if you go back to that October low, well, okay, we're still in October. The October low, it's $9.75. It's been slowly grinding. Every day, it just feels like it's trying desperately to hold on to $10. On Friday, it did another bounce, barely off of $10. We're at $10 now. But if Rivian loses $9.75, that's also a short underneath that price. But for Tesla, wait for that low 220s for a short trade for me, which seems rather unlikely given that we're already under 18.
From inside,
right?
The space is way bigger. We're just talking about Model Ys. Boeing, meanwhile, let's move along. A couple things to know on BA this morning. Trying to get back to the upside right now, but so a preliminary agreement seems to have been reached. We'll see if that gets ratified or not. But new order as well. Emirates ordering 5 more 777 freighters from Boeing. So hopefully they can get these manufacturing facilities back up and running and start making planes again.
Yeah, they really need to, Brendo, because they're bleeding a lot of money per month. Let's talk about how this is going to go down. Tentative agreement, as you mentioned, Brendo, the union will hold a ratification vote coming up on Wednesday. I believe Neil mentioned that earlier. This includes about a 35% wage increase over the span of 4 years. There's a higher signing bonus for new hires, $7,000. That's going to be guaranteed as well. Minimum payouts in the annual bonus program. And going to be more 401k contributions. CEO Kelly Ortberg has been trying to implement cost-cutting measures to try to get things under control, layoffs as well. This is, I think, probably is going to be his biggest test so far.
Yeah. We mentioned it last week, but worth noting, they finalized that credit facility as well, $10 billion credit facility for Boeing coming through. So a few catalysts here, guys, for BA.
Yeah, and it's not a negative one. How about that? So Boeing's got theoretically good news. Obviously, the vote needs to be ratified on Wednesday, but if it all does get done, it's gapping up on that. But on the daily here, you've broken like the lower trend. But if you go the trend all the way on the year, it hasn't really broken that trend line. You're at the 50 period on the daily. But what I like is this little bottom consolidation that it was doing, hugging 150 with 158 changes resistance. We finally cleared that out. So resistance turning into support, or at least that theory, 158 to 158.5 is like the dip buy area I'm looking for on Boeing. And just play for a trend. And obviously, if it never even attempts to press into the pre-market lows into that 158 level, then you got to try to look elsewhere. And that's when the 160 can hold up, or simply like a pre-market low or a VWAP. But as long as it holds on to that line in the 158, I want to be looking for longs. Boeing is trying to break out of a precipitous downward trend. It's got some positive news. All you need is a lack of negative headlines, and this one has a lot of room to go. It obviously has been lagging for quite some time now and just awaiting for any kind of possible catalyst that's not negative for it. So I do like Boeing today. Whether or not we'll get 158, or we have to be a little bit more patient looking for those, drop and pop type entries or consolidation longs. I'm only looking for long trade. If it loses $158, then I probably stop looking for longs. It needs to be holding that level, or I don't want to be long the stock. I want the price action to at least respect the positive news here. You don't want to be, if it's selling through 158, that would be the opposite.
I'm trying to search up. I'm trying to find a website that's going to show me, so I can show everybody the odds for the poll for DJT here, because I think that's going to be important as that starts getting updated and closer to the election. All right, I mean, Neil just talked a little bit about Boeing there, a lot about it, so there's not much to do. We already talked about that 150 level holding. That was great. It seems like that you're going to get a little bit of whooshing down action there. You know, stocks always break and come back. I mean, it's I shouldn't say always, but good stocks like this, the momentum's been there now for a couple days. So that's what you're looking for, right back up to the 50 period. This looks like a break, and I think it's a long. I think if you break this 163.50, 164, I think it's a long. Just too much news around it right now to play that. But if I was going to swing in any direction, it would be long through here on Boeing. Travel's not going anywhere. Neither are these guys. So once they get through all these issues, they'll be back and ready to go again. So, all right, let's go back over there because Microsoft right now, Salesforce. I just looked at Salesforce's stock. Like, that's at a great level right now. So let's go over and hear what they have to say about this next story.
Yeah, get ready for AI agents as soon as next month coming from Microsoft and Salesforce. If you haven't read into agents, at least from AI standpoint, just more specified, more dug down, more targeted on one specific task and one specific idea. You were just telling me a crazy story. I have to go and find this podcast, but share, would you?
Brendo, it's kind of, it's intense, and I don't want to get any of the facts wrong here, but someone threw a bunch of AI agents together in a chat room, and they started talking to one another. And make a long story short, they created a religion who the god was, his name is Goatsy, Brendo, okay? And then, in addition to creating a new god, the AI agents hired someone to make a meme coin for them. And the meme coin has been flying, and people have been buying this thing, but there's a trick. The more you buy, the more this Goatsy tweets. And so people have been kind of goading it on, no pun intended there, to continue tweeting. Anyway, it's kind of crazy. You guys can go do your own research online, but, you know, I don't want to know any more about this than I have to.
No, it's not terrifying at all.
No.
We're living in the future.
Well, I mean, we're living in the now, everybody. But that's a fun story. I think the issue that's happening right now for Microsoft, at least in terms of like the stock price for Microsoft, is it's just attached to the 50 period moving average right at the hip. And so when you're looking at trading this on a daily basis, it's essentially just rejecting the 50 period. You can, like every single time at this 420 level, and you can't make it up. Oh, thank you very much, Randy. Appreciate it, brother. Oh, shoot.
What happened to mine? Take a day off. All right.
Oh. I'll wait to cheers. What was I saying? The 420 level, right. So the 50 period on Microsoft has been this $420, and it just cannot seem to break out. Every time we've gotten there, there's been this like false break, which is instantly faded, and it happened multiple times last week, Monday, Tuesday, and on Thursday. You had 420 breaks, complete rejection, and then a consolidation underneath here on Softy. So clearly, what needs to happen is just hold the bid above 420. If it can survive the open on a 420 break, meaning we come back and it's like 10, 30 or whatever, and you're holding high lows above 420, just look and trend long. But until then, it's like it's resistance until it ain't over there on Microsoft. Probably the only chance we'll get to mention Apple in here. Remember Apple famously on Friday didn't break that all-time high, 237.50. I mean, double top at an all-time high. Obviously, it would have been a popular breakout trade. Given the fact that it just rubbed it without actually going, to me, this is a fade into those highs. And if it breaks out the all-time high, great. We still like that long. But you know, with Apple rejecting it, I think that level's turned into a fade, at least first for me. That's probably the only chance we'll get to talk about Apple there.
Look, Microsoft has pretty much been pretty boring this year. I mean, it started the year about 370, and right now you're at 418. I mean, it's a good return. You'll take that, right? But I'll have to actually, hold on a second to see exactly how much of a return this has been this year. I got to go into this and then type in here. And just, it's so easy. It shows it right here since January. So far, SoFi just getting off right now up to 2.3%. So that's nice to see that one happening. There it is, 11.2% for Microsoft, right? The NASDAQ itself so far this year, 20%. So it's, wow, half of the NASDAQ so far this year is Microsoft. Half of the S&P 500 so far this year is Microsoft. So yeah, I feel like there is an opportunity here to buy some weak names. Apple as well, 22%. There's reasons why I want to buy more Google and more Microsoft. Google's actually, people are going to hate on Google a lot, obviously, but they're up 17% versus Microsoft's 11%. So I mean, I'm just looking at this name. It's not super exciting for me right now. I'm gonna, sort of pass on that. We did just buy some more Seattle Mobile down here. They're just bouncing around 40, so we took a 40. What do we take, a 47 there? Yeah, 47. So we just grabbed some more shares there at 47. It's just kind of like a reload of that. It's only 5% more, 10% more added on. We got out of 10% there. We put that back on here. So trying to get some more out if we can go back up to 65 or so. I'm trying to get more down in and around VWAP there. And then I was just going to use, people are asking me what I was going to use as my stop. I thought the 200 period there at 185, maybe something like that, down into that area right there, as we've seen these names halt, open, reopen, do this, do that, dance around. So let's see if we can get a little bit more action in this name. It's only 920 right now in Seattle, so we'll take a long here and talk about that story as we get going. But Alibaba's been a good one to sell at the top. Is it time to buy back? Let's go find out more about China weakness. Thank you, Randy. All right.
Boom.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You got the blue cup there. I like that.
I like it.
Leafs play tonight, I think, at Tampa Bay. All right, what's
That's
up
lightning.
with China?
China.
Yeah, I was just reading through this note on Seattle as well, if anyone missed it. 5G mission-critical push-to-talk cellular radio handsets going to be available on T-Mobile's 5G network coming up. That's that SYTA, if anyone was wondering. Alibaba, I was noting, just bounced off $100 down here. It's tough to see in the pre-market, but you got to go back to Thursday last week. $100 held as support, but they're also using AI, of course they are, to boost Singles Day sales on two separate platforms. Apparently, they were using it, the Taobao, T-A-O-B-A-O, and Tmall platforms, helping merchants improve their sales by targeting, improving their targeting for advertising during Singles Day. So another use.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Keeping an eye on FX side to see how the entire China trade is doing, down 1.6% right now, despite the fact that the People's Bank of China cut the overnight lending rate by 25 basis points. They also mentioned reductions to reserve requirements by 25 to 50 basis points. And while this is a good sign and it is significant, analysts are saying it's insufficient to stimulate the Chinese economy because they're facing weak demand, not cost or supply issues. So we'll have to see how this actually does. But with respect to rate cuts, Brendo, predicting more rate cuts coming in 2024 from the People's Bank of China.
Notably strong, meanwhile, is XPeng this morning. Basically everything but this downside this morning, up 0.4 here for XPeng, guys.
Yeah, when it comes to the EVs, in China, XPeng's been doing pretty well. What hasn't been doing well out of those is NIO. NIO bouncing off. Like last week, it actually tagged almost the $5 level on that daily. This is a flat bottom support level here. If it loses about 495, I think really when you go back further on the daily trade, it probably needs to lose 490 even before it's completely dead. So that does set up NIO for a potential false break of $5 that holds on to 490 for some kind of reverse. But if it loses 490, I think NIO's in a world of hurt and probably going to just be an easy short for maybe even a couple of days. With Alibaba that we mentioned, the 50 period's a little bit far away here at 92. It held on to 100 on Thursday, and then 102 was the level on the gap up on Friday. I think that sets up for 102 to be resistance today with the over-under here. Obviously, that $100 level is going to be a big one. I think 99.5, where it bottomed out on Thursday, is your support, at least for today on the day trade anyways, with regards to Alibaba. So I want to be looking for longs over the 99.5 just for a range-bound trade. It's been giving you these little Like gives you a dip, finds a support level, and then you just bounce off that support level. I'm just looking for the same thing to happen here off these high 99s and the $100 level. NEO's a different story. You know, NEO loses that 490, and the EVs are a different beast, I think, with their own set of challenges. So if NEO loses that 490, you're probably looking at a multi-day short.
Okay, let's put this out right here because I found it. I wanted to talk about it. I just tweeted this out here. As DJT possible stock play today, you can see these are the current odds right now. So go over to @TraderTV, Sean, and let me know what you think about this. There it is right there. Implied probability of a win right now for the Republican Party, 62%. This is live odds from Bet365. So, yeah, very, very. I didn't realize that it was sort of that.
That's
I don't know. I thought it was a little bit closer. But the polls, and that's what I put on there. Polls lie, stocks lie. Men lie, women lie, you know, shout out to Lil Wayne over there as well. But yeah, just right here, $30. So something to look at. We will have a good look at DJT today here at some point, obviously. But I marked it down. It's on the sticky note. I like this $30 level. I thought 34 as a possible top here. We'll wait to see if we break that out. I just wrote down 34 as support, but if it gets going, it gets going. And oh my, here we go. Again, we're starting it right now with Seattle Mobile. So there it is, man. A nice little reload down there. And again, it was only the 5%, sorry, the 10% reload down there off that level. We got out of 10% there. We put it back. We get that now back out here at 64s this time. So we take some 62s, I believe, and then some 64s. Let's see if we get a little bit higher. We're only long at 58s. So we'll have to let this one go, see if we get going. It's 925 right now. We do have some NASDAQ imbalances that just got dropped, so we can have a quick little look to see what happens right here with those. Affirm with a buy, $45. So that's in there. There's, ooh, okay, Seattle. There we go, Seattle Mobile. Right now starting to go. NVIDIA with a sell, so we'll watch out for NVIDIA. But there's Seattle right now, starting to go back up to the upside. 72 right now. We've got a doozy on here with SYTA to start the day. Hopefully not just a big cap guy over here. We'll make a little bit of money on this one early and wait to see now what happens. We're only out of 20%.
All right, everyone's favorite stock the past couple of days as well. Maybe Seattle will be today, but drug, 22% right now, back above 58 and holding currently, which was that level going back to Friday session. Remember, this thing came off in a hurry going into the close on Friday, so 2 days in a row to the upside. Not as active here this morning. I mean, there's still tons of volume, over 1 million shares, but not as active today.
I mean, it's only up 4,000%, Brendo, year to date. Most of that, obviously, the last week. Not a big deal. We'll keep an eye on this, but they do have a headline today. Brightline Biosciences shares trading higher after the company announced collaboration with Firefly Neurosciences to provide a full analysis of the EEG data in the breakthrough study, Brendo. So an actual catalyst today. We'll keep an eye. See if this one can take 60. Having trouble with 60 in the pre-market.
Yeah, shout out to our friends over at Firefly, AIFF on the NASDAQ, if you want to check that one out as well, guys. Thoughts here for drug?
So just before we get to drug, I want to just quickly get to the super chat that we got here from WCM Good Tunes. Appreciate your super chat. Take a look at SLV, major move incoming. Yeah, we were talking about this and actually had it up on Friday as it was breaking, silver breaking out on the daily. Gold already made a move. Silver breaking through SLV breaking through $30 in here. PAS, Pan American, which has a decent short float, that's also breaking out on that daily. Obviously, it got all the way to 30.60. There were almost no red candles in the afternoon on SLV here. And as long as it can hold on to, as long as it holds on to the prior close, I'd be looking for longs. I actually had this one in the note this morning. Silver breakout continues. You just got to look for an entry point, or whether it's going to be an even dollar or playing off those previous highs. I think that looks like absolute gold, to make a bit of a pun. When it comes to drug, I like that eFresh a little bit better on Friday, but DRUG did hold on to a very key 46 level right at the end of the day, and then early on Friday. That was a prior high. You can see it already playing away from that. A little bit too far for my liking, because if the out to me would be underneath $45, it's now trading almost at $60. So I was looking for entries that are off of this. If it's going to have to do some kind of a dip for a continuation, if it breaks the trend that it's been set on, I got to wait for it to either test the 50 level to look bounce, or the 46 level to look for a bounce play over here on drug. Just a little bit too far. And you remember what happened when it got past that 75 marker on Friday. Like, it was a breakout 70 to 71, but when it got back under 75, it was a little bit nasty. So you got to give it some room, I think, to give yourself an out. Like everything to me with these starts with where am I wrong? And if I'm wrong, the support is 46, is 45 is my out, then I got to wait for some kind of a dip and find either another exit plan, and which will give me an entry, or just be very patient with drug. I am looking for that relief rally in this big one.
Okay, so just quickly here, because we only have a minute left, what to look at here, Mara 1910 break, as we'll watch out for Bitcoin, but it's starting to go downside right now, 67.8. So we'll watch out for that 1910 break on Mara.
Did I say that?
4150 on Palantir, looking like a good level as well. And then the NASDAQ, go over to @TraderTV, Sean, right now and find the sticky note. NASDAQ key levels up there as well, 7450 on the TQQ that you know we love over here. So we'll watch out for that. Seattle, a couple more outs there into the 70s. Let's give that a second. Here come the NASDAQ. I mean, again, 74.50 for a possible short. Now the market's above VWAP, so I think we'll have to hold our horses on that one for a couple seconds. Now only 30 seconds to go. 140 on NVIDIA was a great idea, but we got to wait for it. So let's wait for a 140 break over there. And then other than that, man, we'll watch DJT at 30. We'll watch Mara 19, Palantir. And then for me, that's it for now. And we'll keep busy today. So here we go. It is Adara over at the bell.
Let's ring it, Adara. First time this week. Happy Monday to everybody. Ring it in 1 second. Let's go.
All right, we open now. All right, Seattle, NVIDIA trying to open up here as well. Google, Apple, 235. All right, watching NVIDIA. Probably the only trade that I will get into early would be that 140 break. But Palantir, nice upside play here as well. As there goes the market. So we're going to hold off on going short right now on the market. Give it a second to settle down. I mean, we always say we got to slow down and wait for something to happen. So my eyes are going everywhere. Palantir, 43.08. We could see what happening to Alibaba. Okay, it doesn't look like it's open yet. So Alibaba not open yet, not enough volume coming through on that one. And then our Seattle Mobile opened up and then basically down 15 cents. We'll see what happens here. Maybe now we can get out if it breaks 10. I was still waiting for that 180, but you can see $2 is where the 200 period is. So let's adjust our stop there.
Yeah, very quickly. Apple is already gone green here, so it's pressing rather heavily into the upside. Not really at that all-time high, 237.5, which looked like resistance. Tesla, we thought Tesla could maybe give you a fade off of the high 220s or low 220s. Instead, it pops through Tesla, so this is continuing to bleed. Let me just double check to see if Rivian, maybe Rivian's at, nope, Rivian's not at any levels, just chilling out at 10. We didn't mention Spirit Airlines. They are gapped to the upside with some activists getting involved, Elliott getting involved, getting some board seats, holding on to the $2 level. Would like to see this breakout atop if it's going to go squeezing. And then Mara didn't really do anything off of the open, just a little bit of a dip here into $18.50. So, yeah, not a lot. I mean, NVIDIA is the thing that's going to the upside, and Tesla to set downside along with Apple. And then drug, which I thought, I like that 46 level. Just want to have this one calm down off the open, give us an entry point. So, 46 would be the entry area that I like if it can show any kind of a bounce. Just going to have to be patient. Not much going on.
Yeah, we got a big one here. We're in the money 30% now on this name right now as we wait to see what's going to happen now with Seattle Mobile. We've been tweeting this one out. It's on our watch list. It's on the sticky note, and it's on my account. So go have a look over at Seattle. We just got some more outs there into the 80s. I'm waiting at 96 right now, just ahead of $3. So let's see if it wants to blow up to the upside again. 30% short, trying to go right now. SYTA. All right, so NVIDIA does make its move higher. DJT just read to 31. I actually put a buy here if we can break through 31, but that just stood and completely stopped there. Back in now as here comes the fade. So there goes DJT to the downside right now. Pretty violent downside move right now for the name. Here it comes. I did not pay for shorts. $29 coming in right now, maybe for DJT. I'll still take a 31 break. I still do not mind that. But if you're going to look at the stock, I mean, we just came right back to where we were Friday morning and stopped again. Like perfect trading for DJT. So maybe pick something up there on weakness as it just flushed through. Come on, Seattle. It's the only trade I got on. Maybe we'll take another piece out right here in the 80s. Why not? And then we'll wait for that 95 fill. But right now, looks like Seattle is trying to turn a little bit around, but nice high 80 play, 35% in the money.
Nice look on Seattle, and Drug's starting to go.
Needs to go more.
Drug went like $10 almost to the downside there from the highs, and now back above VWAP. So I think they liquidity grabbed. That's what it looks like to me underneath that 57 level, and it happens to be VWAP. I want to get myself a stop in there underneath like 56.5, and then look for a VWAP bounce on Drug. So look, we'll see if this one's still on one. Right now, you're getting, NVIDIA's almost at the 140 level. Boeing starting to go. Tesla, oh my goodness, Tesla looks ugly. But Boeing is not going to dip 158. Boeing's trying to take out the highs. I only want to look long on Boeing today, but I wasn't looking for any breakouts. So VWAP, pre-market highs, 161 will have to be the way to go. If it's not going to be Drug first, then it's Boeing on the dip. We'll look to see if we can get in. Let me double check. Baba wasn't doing what I wanted. NEO did bounce off $5. That's already gone. 2 set upside. Yeah, Boeing and Drug look like they could be the first to come in here. As Tesla still can't find a bottom. It's almost at $216. NVIDIA is very close to 140, however. It's about 30 cents away as well. But I'd like to get this VWAP entry on Drug.
Yeah, so there is news about DJT. Adair will get that to us hopefully in a couple seconds there. News with DJT. All right, so NVIDIA right now, something about a Cohen, something about a lawsuit being revived and all this and all of that. Adara, there's news on DJT, if you could quickly find that. All right, 140 coming in right now for NVIDIA. DJT's whipping around, man. 29 back to 31 again for DJT. So I know you guys are asking, but there it is. $29 downside, again back up to 31. It just went to 30.60 again. So pretty violent here, but you know what? We're coming into the season where this is what's going to happen. I mean, I have the story here. I'll tell you. U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear Republican-backed challenge to job protections for leaders of consumer safety products. I don't know, rejects Michael Cohen's bid to revive lawsuit accusing Donald Trump and others of jailing him in retaliation for book criticizing Trump. So we'll find out more as that goes, but that's what's sort of making the move here on DJT as we get a decision. There's NVIDIA right now breaking through 140, so we're long on NVIDIA now breaking through 140. Giddy up right now. What's up, Adara?
Based here from what I'm seeing, it looks like the second half of this headline coming through from the Supreme Court might be the bigger thing pushing DJT higher here. So we do have Michael Cohen, who had initially tried to revive this lawsuit with regards to accusing Donald Trump and those associated with him for jailing him in retaliation. He did have that book, which had some criticisms leveled towards Donald Trump. That bid has been rejected by the Supreme Court, according to this decision here. So basically, we're seeing the Supreme Court decision in favor, I guess, secondhand, of Trump and his peers, saying that Michael Cohen will not be able to revive his suit, accusing Trump and his peers of jailing him for retaliation. So DJT getting a nice pop up on that. Volume on that pop back up, though not super significant here, guys.
Yeah, and whatever you want to make of that. NVIDIA did break 140. It's at the 150 mark right now. It's trying to get, the market's just gone green on the NASDAQ, so it just went. I'm playing it basically back into the high. When it did this break on Friday, or on Thursday, I should say, it got to 140.77. So it got to 140.77. I want to make sure I'm scalping half out into that level. If it rejects that top one more time, then fair enough. We'll look for another entry point on this breakout to the upside on NVIDIA. Tesla's still finding the bottom, or still attempting to find that bottom as the NASDAQ goes higher. And Apple's not there yet. I feel like Apple is really close to this lower high at the 236. With the market screaming, I actually believe this is going to end up being a fade off of the 236 level. If the higher low can't go, then forget about the all-time high. But NVIDIA continuing to blast to the upside. 77 to me, that was that top from before. So we just got an out here right in front at 70, now half out of the trade.
There we go, guys. It is your number one trade of the day. Everyone's on it, as you can clearly see. That's why we post it. There it is, NVIDIA 140 long. Not on the watch list. This is where it is today. It's NVIDIA. It's long. It's at 140, man. And I hope you guys had that one. Let's see what winds up happening, though. You got to give it a little bit of room here. We've already taken some out on the way up. I mean, we don't want to be sitting in winners and just leave them there and let them sort of rot. Take a little bit out there on the top side. I still like the stock. You're going to have to give it a little bit more room here. I mean, if we change this even over to a 5-minute chart here and just give it a second. If you're going to look at NVIDIA, there's the break. We wrote it down. Be patient. So we also have to be patient on our outs. We can't just be like, panicking to punch out of this, even though we have many shares. We don't have to panic to get out of this one. Like that punting into the 200 period can still happen. So that's like 138.20. So that is still not out of the realm of possibilities of fading back through this closing 5-minute candle, right? And so I think you got to be aware of that happening. So get out some accordingly. Right now we're out of about 15% or so as it comes back in right now, but that 138 and change, again, we're not trying to get too excited, but that's kind of the level to look at. Maybe an average in. VWAP right now is at 138.20s, so that could be a level there for us on NVIDIA if and when it decides to come back in. So maybe even a 139. I mean, I don't mind buying a little bit there if we dip back in, but there's 140 now. Just tested one more time there on NVIDIA. So let's be patient and try to hold on to this one. So far, so good on the number one trade idea here listed on the sticky note. What's up, Adara?
F pushing higher here with decent volume spike, a couple of candles off the open. Right, Minds Biosciences and Firefly, which is AIFF, moving together here. These companies have worked in tandem. We had another headline with them last week. Today, though, they've announced that they're going to have this collaboration with regards to epilepsy treatment. So that data should be coming out soon through their breakthrough trial. Keep an eye on AIFF and, of course, DRUG with regards to that. In terms of AIFF, they do have a float of just over 5 million shares. So fairly small float for Firefly Neuroscience.
My goodness, Mara's already down 5 points. So Mara just lost $18. I'm just going to double check what's going on over here in Bitcoin very quickly. Small pullback, but obviously we lost that trend line that we were talking about on the daily, which is that lower high. I liked it as a fade at $19. You never even got to 19 even. Next available pop, I want to look for. It's about 1840 was the support level. 1840 to 1850 was support on Mara early on Friday. For NVIDIA, it just tried to make a nice little bounce here off the 140 entry point. So break gets to that other high. Last time we took the break on Thursday, basically the same story. The difference is, can it hold on to 140? So it just grabbed underneath and then came back. So on the way back up, taking some shares back through on the way back to the upside. So looking for this one to get back. It needs to press that high again. If it doesn't press that high, you're still in the midst of a potential failed breakout. Finally, Tesla's trying to catch a little bit of a bid, and Apple still pressing toward that all-time high, but I think it's just fading off of this 236 now. So forget about a pop and fade into the all-time high. I think it's just going to be onto this lower high here on AAPL. That's about 235.75. So looking for the failed break that happened on, well, it didn't really actually break it on Friday. The failed attempt to get there on Friday, looking for some continuation. But just have to be patient with it, allow it to get into that price. It's about $1 away from an entry, I think.
All right, Seattle Mobile right there. We got that reload down there where we said we wanted it in the 20s. So that one came through there again. So we'll take another load. We just got 20s, and then we got it out there at 45. So again, this name is really starting to move around and really starting to make us a little bit of coinage right over here, Seattle Mobile. We've talked about that a couple times there, and we'll wait to see where it can go from there. DJT is the place to be, and now it's $31. We're still looking for that break. When it happens, you know your boy will be in that one. Come on, Seattle Mobile. You can do it. I just really like saying that name. I don't know if you can tell that, but here it comes right now. We'll get out some more. Let's just keep on doing this, baby. Whoopsies, too many shares. Oops. Okay, well, we got a little bit too many there at 54, but we'll take it. What's up, Adara?
Lots of social media attention for MULN this morning. Not seeing any news on this. We just got our largest volume candle by far of the day. So of the day as of yet, we're currently up about 16%. Thursday morning, they did announce they've regained NASDAQ compliance, so they did cancel this panel hearing as a result of regaining that compliance. Said they're going to continue listing on the NASDAQ. That update as of Thursday, but just something to be aware of there. Mullen still going to be on the NASDAQ. They do have a float of about 5.25 million shares. 11% of that is going to be sold short, and their market cap's just over $15 million for MULN.
Mullen even going to the upside. When it's a squeeze type of day, or last week, I suppose, and even things like Mullen are going to catch a little bit of a bid. Alibaba is not going to give you the 100. We were mentioning over under off that $100 level, but it did just do its first dip, only looking trend long above the $100 level. So there's 101. It just dipped down into 101.85. So again, just trying to catch things on the bounce, on trend, give it to that local bottom, which is just underneath 180 cents there. So we're long just above the 101. High is currently 101.60, so want to play some out into that $0.50 range here on Alibaba. We saw NEO bounce off the $5 level, so it looks like a lot of this group is catching a little bit of a bounce, despite the fact that they were gapping down after we got that rate cut over there in Asia. So BABA still down 1%, but trying to fill in this gap. If it closes at 102, remember that's a decent resistance spot at that 102. So we're into BABA already tracking back into those highs.
Oh boy, here it is, man. It is your hot dog trade of the day. Not just Seattle Mobile. Forget about you. You're fun though. But there goes. The big dog is here, baby. It's Jensen and family as we take out 140. And again, this is what we're here for, man. I mean, this is why we do this work. This is why we post this up. This is why it's completely free. It is your only spot to find NVIDIA 140. There it is right there, NVIDIA 140. The number one idea on there, the number one trade for me today. And there it goes. And the best part about it is we said be patient. And we were. We waited for it. We could have been buying down here. Normally, I mean, it would have been better to buy down here, right? But how many days do we do that? We try to catch something, and then it pops right into our face. So we'll have to wait to see there. But there it goes, man. It is your first hosted Dollar Club winner right there. Make sure you do check out the sticky note every single day at Trader TV Sean for your number one trade resource. There goes Seattle Mobile right now. Nice move to the upside again on this one. I'm just going to keep taking it out every single time it pops higher and higher and higher. There it goes, man. NVIDIA up to that 141. Let's just keep on going higher, right? I mean, this is the number one stock, in my opinion, that people are going to want to buy on dips. So we're doing that as well. But this time today, it's the breaker, it's the sticky note, and it's Adara.
Just be aware here, we do have GNTX. Wow. This company is called Genprex. Looks like they work in biotech. They had some headlines last week. No news as of today or this week, but lots of social media attention. We're talking multiple Twitter mentions within the last minute. So GNPX, which again currently halted for what looks like the second time today, does have a market cap of just over $1 million, float of about 2.43 million shares. So smaller float, smaller market cap, and a 3.33% short float from what I'm seeing here. So GNPX, beware of this one. Again, currently halted, 159% to the upside, tap of $1.19, guys.
Thank you very much, Adair. Also, drug is halted, but the tap is flat. So it's halted at 60. The tap is actually at 60 as well on DRUG. I just noticed PanW making a bit of a power move to the upside. I haven't confirmed this. Someone in the chat was saying something about Mara. Someone at Mara might have endorsed a candidate or something, and that's why it's weak. I was just playing off the fact that failed 19 when Bitcoin failed that breakout. So if that's the story, it doesn't really necessarily matter to me. It just can't seem to get off the $18 level. I'm looking for a VWAP retrace over there on Mara. Alibaba just double tapped resistance at that quarter mark. Actually got all the way up to 40s, but then lower high resistance in here. So if we lose that 180 level, I want to jump out. We did jump out of half of it as it's starting to put in some lower highs on Alibaba. We already went to the 141 level. Oh, Boeing was the only other name that kind of didn't come into our levels yet. Sitting waiting for that VWAP bounce. Didn't get it the first time through, but you know what? We're at VWAP now on Boeing, so still looking for the long. We liked 158 as support. It didn't really get down there. Now I want to see it hold on to VWAP. Not going to sit there and catch the falling knife. I want to play it on the bounce, like you saw with the entry on the reload at 140 on NVIDIA, and it's the same thing with that Alibaba, trying to get it on the other side when it gets that bounce. Market looking very, very strong in here. So I want to make sure that we're playing strong names and not just catching falling knives. There's plenty of things out there that you don't have to worry about sitting on the bid of a stock falling.
139.60. All right. I'm just trying to figure out where to buy more. I'll probably just be trading NVIDIA for the most part right now. All right. So I'm just trying to catch another bid down there. We have to watch out for VWAP here. Remember, I'm always trying to think about. This is a 5-minute chart right now, so I still have the 1 minute up. Look at that out right there at 141. I mean, we talked about that. We got some outs at 90s. Then again, pretty much right at, well, we got 99s up there at 141. So, you know, you want to always look back and try to figure out like what we're trying to play here on breakouts. I like that failed breakout bar play back down to the 5-minute chart. But now that we're already broken out, I think like VWAP is something that maybe now we should make sure that we watch out for. So that's 139.50. Don't want this to come back completely against us here. It's not going to. Well, I don't know if it will or not. We're only out of a third right now of NVIDIA. But with this little spike up, let's take advantage of that and take another piece out here if we can at 60. As I fix my chart up right there. So we'll see if we can get another piece out. It's close enough. I mean, it's close enough to where we need to be on this trade. It's making our day, so we're completely fine with that. That and Seattle are the only two plays for me so far. DJT is still at $30.70. We can look at that one. Mara, nice downside play. Looks like our TQQ trade is at 74.50 is kind of where we were talking about it. But when that started to go earlier on, we scratched that itch and got rid of that one. We did not even consider going short on the NASDAQ once we took this VWAP there off the open. So there goes the NASDAQ. Congratulations right now. Sharif, this is going to be its 7th straight up week, if you can believe that or not, right now as the market just continues to go. And oh boy, are we printing, man. We're making things look silly around here as there goes NVIDIA into 88 again. So let's go. Give me some more of those right now. It is kind of going meme crazy a little bit here, but it's just stopped in the mid 80s. There it goes. I was going to say, I'm actually offering 88 right now. We just got filled. So now we'll just let this thing continue to ride up and be as patient as possible. Maybe watching for a 139.50 out if VWAP continues to be there, but we might as well just hold on to this one, man. We did some work over the weekend. Your boy put in work. That's dangerous. What's up, Adara?
Another small cap on watch today. This one actually a penny stock here, LGMK, Logic Mark. Currently trading around the 14-cent level, up almost 60%. This one is a very small market cap, notably, especially for a penny stock. This is a $690,000 market cap, so under $1 million market cap. We have a float of 5.7 million shares. 21.8% of that is going to be sold short. So large short float and very small market cap for LGMK, guys.
Yeah, but starting to run here as well is Tesla. So Tesla caught a V-shaped bid in a big way, trying to break out this top. It's still lots of room to 222, which I think is still going to be resistance on Tesla. I'm not playing a breakout here. It's not a significant price level. But if you do get any rejection off the top, look for one of these levels to hold, like either pre-market resistance, 218. VWAP is going to be in play, I think, as well, looking incredibly strong. Boeing's now tracking on the other end, trying to bounce here off of VWAP. So just looking for it to, put in a nice consolidation area here off VWAP. Either hold the exact low at 161, hold a higher low. That's going to work as well. Doesn't really matter to me as long as it holds some kind of a bid above this 161. We're looking for the reload there on Tesla. Alibaba is still kind of holding trend, at least for now. There's a double dip into the 180 level, trying to hold that 101. If we bounce back into this mid-dollar, gonna have to get some more out. Don't want it making lower highs into a flat bottom. If that starts happening, you don't want to be reloading the stock. That'll be declining into that flat bottom. I want it breaking back out and retesting those highs. So BABA still looking relatively good. NVIDIA hasn't really popped that 141 level with any zest just yet. If we don't get some kind of a retest of the 140 and get one of those candles, going to start to slap a trend line in here. If you don't break the 141, then there's no new trend to play, and it's just the 140 level for me. But if you do break the high, I want to slap a trend line on that and look for another re-entry point on NVDA that isn't just the 140. And Apple pulling right back into VWAP. So like Boeing, you're trying to catch this one on the flip side, make it bounce first, and then play into it. A lot of people have said, watch out for Intel, looks like it's weak. That doesn't necessarily surprise me. It's that $2280 level that still can't seem to break out. But it was nowhere close to it for a fade, unfortunately. Down at the lows when the market's at the highs, it's certainly weak. If we lose 22.5 on Intel, yikes. You don't want to be breaking low of the day when the market's breaking the highs.
No. Be careful. Be careful with all of these trades. Just trade the best names, man. I cannot preach that enough. And I hope that that's something that the preaching has worked a little bit for you guys because, again, it's going to... I know we're not in very many positions. I don't know what else was on the watch lists today, but for me, I had Palantir. I mean, there goes NVIDIA. I'm just going to. So how I trade, we've talked about this before, is going to be more shares and try to be very, very specific with the names I'm looking at, and just try to make it happen. So for right now, Palantir, we were looking at this one, man. It just didn't come in. I was looking for a mark down there when we had sort of wrote that today, but it's not there. Oh my geez, right now. Is the sticky note today something to look at? I mean, right there it goes. This is your trade idea number one. NVIDIA continues to go higher and higher and higher today. Not on the watch list, but on my list today, 141.50. There it goes. It's fine. $1.50 now in the money. We're just chilling out right now. We have nothing else to worry about. We'll just continue to watch this name go. We still have more than half of this position on, and it's a $1.50 winner. It's a banger. It's a banger. It's a banger. It's one of these. Let's go, man. Congratulations to all, and to all, hopefully not a good night. We're just getting started. What's up, Adara?
Keep an eye on these nuclear names. Of course, we've had some of these nuclear-related tickers on watch last week as well, amidst ongoing news with Meg 7 companies, big tech companies investing in nuclear. Today, though, we have continued strength, as well as the story from Bloomberg suggesting that Taiwan is, quote, very open to using the nuclear tech to meet demand from chip makers with regards to AI. So more chip and AI news here, this time coming out of Taiwan with regards to these nuclear names. It's worth noting, I have NNE up here. All of these tickers have decent short float. So NNE just under 10% short float. We're talking about 9.25%. SMR 27% short float. OKLO, we've got a short float of about 12.5%. So big short floats and constant news here for the nuclear space, guys.
Yeah, SMR has been a runner and a nice one.
Look at that.
I like that one a little bit better than that NNE when you look at that daily chart. So Mara just pulled a VWAP for the first time today, or close enough to it, I suppose, outside of the open. And we got to 1820, catching on the back end here on the way back into the downside. Again, just allow it to get to your price, allow it to fade a little bit, show you the entry point there. As I said, was looking short on Mara after Bitcoin failed to hold that breakout over the weekend. It got to the trend. It didn't break back out. It ended up just right back underneath that 69,000 level. If we break, we're under 68 as we speak. So looking trend back in. There was a story, I guess, whatever, like a political story as well with Mara, which could be sending it to downside. Doesn't really matter. Shorting it back into VWAP off of those lows as we speak. NVIDIA just tagged that 145. And we said if it broke the high, look for the trend. So for my entry point here, there's bottom to that. If we lose this trend line, half of what I have left is coming out, and I wait for VWAP to come back in there. So that's the execution strategy. The bottom of this trend line is going to be about 140.60 as we speak. So if we lose that, then I'm getting out of half and waiting back in for VWAP in the 140 level, looking for another bottoming tail candle like that one. So I want the trend line to hold, obviously, but not looking for reloads off that trend line until it confirms that we're going to catch a little bit of a bid off of that. What was that? Oh, thank you very much. And as a matter of fact,
I pity the fool that doesn't hit the like and subscribe button.
We need to have one that says, pity the fool that doesn't like and subscribe to the sticky note, because right now we have NVIDIA here is clearly the best trade for both of us today off of that 140 level. So play the breakout right there on NVDA as it just continues to rock the market right now. But AVGO looking very strong as well. I mean, a lot of the chip names starting to go upside, right? And so Seattle there, we did get a $2 average in there. So right now our average price is $2.16. I just did take a piece out right there. I'm going to let it, wow, 180. Okay, I'm going to let that one settle down just a little bit there on AVGO. Sorry, on Seattle. Okay, Broadcom, not going as much as NVIDIA was. Sorry, my bad. I thought it was right there, but up to 180, I guess, took me by surprise. But we were at 185 on Friday, so that's sort of that break level right there. It's not, does not look like NVIDIA right now, obviously, at these levels, but we'll have to give it a little bit of a workout there if it gets back up. Needs to get above that 181, which is the 200 period moving average right there. I have a 5-minute chart up right now, so just to give you guys an idea of if you're used to me looking at one. Maybe we'll switch this one over to a 5 just for now. But all right, so Broadcom 180, looking not bad. So this could be an area of concern if the market does drip down. Watch out for maybe some weakness coming in Broadcom. Why? Because it's not the same as the rest, right? I mean, that's something that you have to always try to consider. You can't just trade blind. You have to look at other things. Look at SMH. This is the whole semiconductor market up 0.3. Obviously, when we look at the biggest and the baddest of them all, which, by the way, right now, we only have about 40% left. We're getting more out here on NVIDIA as we continue to rip higher on this name. This is up 2.25 right here. AMD. So again, this is what I mean. You want to trade the names that are stronger to the long side, looking for a drop in Broadcom if the market loses, but the market's not losing now, so we don't have anything to worry about here. This is such a better style of trading for me anyways. Take like the real position and actually take some shares at levels that you write down right here and take them and go with them and hold it. And be patient. We talk about being patient on the way in. Why not be patient on the way out? I mean, right now we have just over 40% of this monster trade left, and it's really carrying the whole day. So there goes NVIDIA. I mean, look, it's the only position Neil's in right now. It's a good one. It's NVIDIA. I'm in this in Seattle, which really isn't doing that much. It's going to be my only two names today. So we'll try our best to find some more opportunities. I know you had a good one there in Alibaba. I do like that
Boeing's
name as well. And, yeah, Boeing's another name. So yeah.
Boeing's trying badly to hold on to VWAP, but I think it's going to lose here, unfortunately. So obviously, it's a strong stock. It's up 4%. Don't get me wrong, but those are all lower highs in Boeing right now. It's underneath VWAP. That's not what I wanted to see. Alibaba, which is hilarious. I just typed in Boeing when I meant to go Alibaba. Alibaba lose support. We scalped it out the first time, but the key thing is don't reload it. Remember I was saying lower highs into a flat bottom, no reload? So no reload. I think a lot of times you can like a level, but if it's not trading the way you want, you don't have to add back into shares. You know, you're not beholden to, oh, I like this trend to the upside, I'm just going to go keep buying it. No. It doesn't want to hold where I wanted it to, then we jump out of it. And it's the same thing with Boeing. If it doesn't show me what I want, I'm not going into this long position off of 61. I can wait for pre-market lows. I can wait for 158. I can wait for it to bounce off of VWAP. All of those things are going to be perfectly valid as we go to Adara for happening now.
Just waiting here. Oh, we just did get that leading index change on a month-over-month basis for September. Lower than expected here. So it's a negative 0.5% is the number versus the forecast of negative 0.3, previous print of negative 0.2. So CB leading index change month over month, negative 0.5% for the month of September. We have the Qs here still trying to push higher, slightly positive on the day. Qs were initially underperforming the S&P 500 this morning. Now they're actually outperforming. We have, again, slightly by about 0.1% here. So good look for the Qs as of right now, trying to push above some of the resistance we had on Friday. Lots of continuation plays still. We have Chinese ADRs on watch. We have the election on watch here with tickers like DJT and FHUN potentially ready to run. Lots of small cap runners like DRUG and SYTA and nuclear plays as well. We also have lots of planes and airline related stocks. So SAV making new high of days here, up almost 50%, 48% as of right now. They did reveal through SEC filings on Friday that they are extending their debt refinancing deadlines and also said they're set to end 2024 with over $1 billion in liquidity, at least by their estimations. Boeing also in watch here, as Neil just spoke about, they're still up about 4%, though it is removed from its day's highs. Preliminary agreement here reached between the company and its machinists union. They'll be voting to ratify that on Wednesday, and also announcing 5 additional orders here from Emirates for its 777 freighters. So some positive news for BA and SAVE on watch once again, guys.
Thank you very much there, Dare. Apparently that BIVI is also on a bit of one as it just broke highs again. Okay, so this is the one on the drugs today. It's not necessarily drug. It's BIVI. We did trade this last week. Okay, check that. I mean, we traded on Friday. We didn't really trade any other day. But obviously, this one's starting to go. You had a $5 breakout. It just made a bit of a 50% move off of that $5 break. So it's still in the screaming to the upside phase. If you look at the daily chart in here, there's a lot to sort of dig into past that $5 level. Nothing obvious until you get to, there we go, kind of got out there, until you go to about $8.50. So it does have some room topside, but it's parabolic. It already halted once. I would look for it to give some kind of a consolidation. It's early enough that the next available consolidation is probably a good place to try to jump into it. But this is a pretty nasty one to set upside. Boeing is still trying to figure itself out here in terms of catching a bit of a bid. I wanted to round out the bottom, put in a higher low, set something up that actually makes sense to the upside here for Boeing. If you didn't get that initial break, there's pretty much nothing you can do. The trend on NVIDIA is continuing to hold on here. I did draw this. There we go. Draw that trend line. Actually, I got to make sure I hit save on that. If we close underneath, I'm still looking to grab out half of the trade and then wait for VWAP. Right now, it needs to hold on to 140.80. So right in here, if it breaks this, I take out the remaining or half of what I got left and wait for 140. If we hold that trend line and break out the top, it can set up some kind of a dip buy trade. But yeah, you're starting to look like the market is slowing down just a little bit. Tesla's still going higher. Okay, here comes Boeing finally starting to show some strength and a bit of a higher low being put in for Boeing. So want to see it hold on to VWAP, but it seems like BIVI, whatever the name of that company is, BOEING might be the one that is on the bigger charge today, up a couple hundred points already.
Oh, I missed it. I was going to say DJT. So I only crossed up 10 cents. How big was the move? So I missed that DJT. It just popped. Oh, okay. We'll cancel it. I mean, I guess we can go a little bit long here. Let's try. Okay, we just got some 35s. I mean, we meant to get 31s long. We would sort of put that. The order went out. I came back in here and found out what's going on with all of this. So let's wait to see where DJT goes. It's not about ruining a perfect day or anything here because Seattle Mobile right now, we're long at 15s. This needs to go a little bit higher. Excuse me. This was because of the way we calculate our first in, first outs, that kind of stuff. It's going to look like this was a win, but it wasn't because I averaged, this was an average price. So right now, the current price that I have is what I have, and this is what I have to trade out of. So right now, we're not going to be like, oh man, we won there. We just took a quick 10 cents there on that. We're going to wait for a little bit more, obviously, on Seattle. As we're holding right now the 200 period, this is initially where we wanted it. I put my stop at 180. I'm thinking now it needs to be like right around here. So let's change this, 195. And again, our stop was, my stop's already there. My bad. My stop's already there at 195, so we must have already did that. So as we had noticed, we were going to use the 200 period. Now that's come all the way up. It was initially when we first got in down there at 180, which is what we used right there for now. So again, the only positive name P&L-wise traded today is going to be NVIDIA, and that's including that Seattle. That's why I bring that up. So be very, very careful. Be very, very specific sometimes on what you trade. And that's the big thing, right? Look for your opportunities. When they're there, they're there. It doesn't matter if you're negative or red or positive or green or yellow or whatever the hell you are today. Take the best opportunities that you can see. And there it is right now. Let's go. We spin this one right now on DJT as it's starting to go back up to the upside. Here it is, man, 30 cents. Let's just start to take a little bit out. We already missed the best price. But again, we sit down here. This is what happens. It's something that Adara coined. It's just having confidence. It's coming back in, sitting down, noticing the stock is going, trading off of your levels. This is why we write down the sticky note. This is why we have these plays. You can see, look at NVIDIA 140. Neil's got it, we've got it, hopefully you've got it. That's what the levels is. We have those trades. You got to put them on when they're there. And there goes NVIDIA right now, back into day's high. So you know what your boy does? He puts some more on the offer. So let's see if we can get a little bit. There it is. Yes, sir. We get a 140, 140. It's the biggest, baddest name today. It's NVIDIA up 2 and a bit. So let's just keep on holding it, man. It's only 10:06. We got a lot more to go.
Definitely a lot more to go. DJT, I don't know. DJT I might be on if it wasn't for Bivy starting to go to the upside and looking poisonous here. I wanted to find a consolidation on this sucker. Okay, there's a double top. As Sean mentioned, there's a double top. If we fail break that top, I'm taking some more out of NVIDIA regardless of that trend line. Because I don't want to see a double top failure and then pull back into VWAP, and we didn't get a chance to get some out because I want to reload VWAP no matter what. But this BIVI is finally starting to consolidate. You can forget about the whole price as long as it's holding 650. You're starting to catch a bit of a bid. Okay, now it's looking a little bit stronger. Okay, so just jumped in. I'm going to give it to this local bottom in here on BIVI, which is just underneath the 640 level. So just another runner these ones have all been going, man. Like, there's so many of them out there, and I want to be in the one doing the most volume at the moment, which turned into BIVI. I want to play it into 750, and then there's that 860 level, which would be an all-out for myself. So just took out about a quarter of it and want to play back into that 640 level on BIVI. Boeing is still trending down, so there just hasn't been a long entry in Boeing, unfortunately. You know, you can like it all you want, but you can't seem to find a bid. It just lost $141 over there on Boeing. So still a lot of weakness happening.
141.
Sorry, 161.
I was going to say, okay.
161 on Boeing. If Boeing was at $141, we'd be crying over the fact that, yeah, it should not be that low.
No, I hadn't looked at it. It wouldn't surprise me if it got there, but yeah, for right now, no. Again, there it goes. So there's another NVIDIA out basically at the very top there as it goes to 141.50. We'll wait to see what winds up happening there now with NVDA. So now we've added another name temporarily to the green list for the show here today, DJT, but this could fall through. If we break 31s right there on DJT, why not just wait to see 3080s? So that's where my stop's going to be right now on DJT. So $30.79. Let's put it out right there and see if it can continue its climb a little bit higher. We're out of half. Exactly half right now. Our last out was 63s. It just wasn't going. We're not playing this with like, you know, it's done 12 million shares. We're not playing this with any sort of serious share size here, although it's giving you the opportunity to do that. It's just this is not really, you know, my area of expertise per se. We'll stay in the bigger cap names, but we want to play. And like I said, you just want to take names that have something going on in them. You need to have some sort of catalyst right there. And we did have DJT. Of course, we talked about the recent odds was 61 to 39-ish%. That's on Bet365. Obviously, different pollings will give you different results there. That's the betting odds right now. And DJT goes the upside as there was lawsuit news there. I mean, here it is right here again. So this is at 10:09. Seems like I'm in it on the 31 break. It had nothing to do with this news. There's something else there. Terms and conditions are trading higher after the U.S. Supreme Court declined Michael Cohen. So this is not news. This is not new. This is the same news. Cohen's bid to sue Donald Trump. So declined ability to sue Donald Trump. That's basically the story right there. You can go in, dig it out, and find out more about that one. But that's the idea there. Has nothing to do with me getting long. We wanted to get long initially watching this 30 holding. We put that down there on the note today. And then when it broke through 31, we wanted to get long. It did not break right there. That was sort of the trigger spot for us. And then we came back from getting a coffee and noticed that it had broken and we only crossed up 10 cents. So I feel like would have been much better, obviously, to have that down here. So that's why we try to get some out. We take it there on some kind of a support area, and then DJT now back there to that upside. How's the bivvy working out?
Well, I shouldn't have reloaded it, but I don't think it's necessarily done yet. To me, this one's going to be like, what was that, eFresh on Friday. So ideally, it'll do what EFSH kind of did on Friday. I'll get to the EFSH chart in a quick little second there, but that was a much cleaner afternoon trade for me than it was a morning trade, but I do like the press that it's making. As long as it holds on to that halt price area, because the halt was at $5.40 and it's above $5, I want to be looking for longs on this one. Just given where this is in its move, this is not necessarily a day 7 or 8 or 5 or 6 or whatever it might be. This is a day 2. As long as it's holding that breakout on the daily chart, I'm going to like it. But we tried the first available dip buy, scalped it into the 7 range, reloaded it, which was probably the mistake, but that's fine. We'll still wait for it to come back in. Either we see 5 to 540 or we wait for a consolidation. And again, to reference it like eFresh, and I only call this stock eFresh so that I remember what the ticker is. EFSH, they're like 1845 holding is the weird name of that company. So what that did on Friday, and notice how I said I want to trade it like ERFH, because I remember what this one did. Early breakout, parabolic move, big continuation play. The first dip in this, like if you go from the morning, it wasn't doing a heck of a lot. When the volume started to come in, you got a break, you got a consolidation and a retake of the high. And then it just went absolutely skyrocketing. In the afternoon, it was a great trade off the $5 and $6 levels. But certainly, if it's going to be an early move and it wants to do something crazy like a 200-300%, then you got to be a little bit patient with it. That took a little bit of time for it to make some kind of a second press to the upside and start to go halting. So it's only halted once. I think it's early on here. We can wait for it to either pull into VWAP or set something up on a break of these highs. Dara.
Another penny stock or small cap on Wall Street. This is APVO. We have a market cap of just over $2 million here for Tevo Therapeutics. This is in the biotech space. Decent amount of social media attention and good volume off the open here for APVO. $2 million market cap penny stock, guys, up about 30%.
All right. All right. So DJT there, we did get a 31 bid, my bad, after all. So there it comes in. We took a $31.04 bid there as it held 31, but here it could come back down in. It looks like, we just said this, man, it looks like if DJT falls out, man, the only green stock today so far here will be NVIDIA. Let's wait to see what winds up happening. But I take that back. Seattle right there looks to be possibly green here. If we can get back. Okay, we just got a 25. All right, so Seattle Mobile right now is green, as there goes Seattle Mobile. Nicely done back up into 228 right now again there for SYTA. Give me that VWAP right there as it's starting to go back up to the upside right now for Seattle Mobile. I might have spoke too early there. Neil, it looks like we'll have a couple more good stocks aboard right now. There goes SYTA. Through 230, but maybe not, as we had just held 230 there one more time. Sorry, I was on DJT. There's Seattle. So there's our out right there at VWAP. We're going to hopefully get a little bit higher on that one. And then if we drop below 3080, then this one will be a downside mover right now for us. So there it goes, man. We are right now, we'll be up on Seattle Mobile, up on NVIDIA, obviously, huge on NVIDIA. And then we'll wait to see what happens now with DJT and SYTA. But this just needs to break 230. I think if we can get that, then giddy up, man. 30% short float, already up huge, but again, needs to go. Seems to be running into a little bit of resistance here underneath VWAP. So we might just take another piece out, but let's see if we can actually make a little bit of coinage here on that. Long at 31.04 now on DJT. So again, we're up on it, but it's position pending. And if we drop now 15 more cents, it'll just put us red on this name, DJT, breaking back down below $30.80. That is my out, and that's where we will get taken out automatically. But again, like I was saying to you guys today here, it's going to be on this side a green day, but let's just wait because it's only 10:15. I think it could be a lot more special than where we're at right now. The Nasdaq's only up 0.21. What if the market actually goes here? All right, there goes DJT again. As we just talk about being red on the day, that may on the stock, that may not be the case here if DJT can hold above this 31, and then we'll just let this one fly upside a little bit more. Get something out if we can get into 20 there, and then let it go. But right now we're all good. Watching this NVIDIA just continue to go, and there goes DJT. So a nice little trade there again on that one. We say it, man. Trade the catalyst names and trade them well, and you should be okay. Seattle is a problem at $2.
Yeah, I mean, the market is not a problem at all, but there is a steep trend holding. I got some more out of NVIDIA. Just going to go over the why for a second here, because there's your steep trend. The ES is holding a much more gentle and steady trend line. However, this just happened on NVIDIA. So it broke the opening range high about 10 o'clock, came back underneath the trend line, retested that high, and then lost that prior support. So I got some more out there. Now going to hang on to it. Essentially now just want to play it back into this 140.80. So the rest of it, we're going to hold back through 140.80. And if we get a reload off VWAP, I think VWAP is probably far gone at this point. Like if you get VWAP, you might not like it at that point, but it's still only 10:15. There's plenty of time for this to settle back down in. Boeing still trending into the downside. It's up 4%. It's still valid, I think, for long, but if you weren't playing in the first 3 seconds or 30 seconds off the open, I'm now still looking for that rounded bottom. How about being patient? Show me the rounded bottom and some higher lows. It just hasn't happened yet for Boeing, unfortunately. Bivvy's still doing good volume. It doesn't seem to want to go down to VWAP. Like, see how it's just sort of slowly trending back in? That's not setting anything up. Flush, bounce off VWAP, bounce off that halt high, or simply take out the top, and then that'll give another opportunity for us to jump in there. Tesla is now all of a sudden just chilling out at 220. I thought 222 half was going to be a fade zone on Tesla. It's nowhere close to that level. Apple as well, still not at that all-time high. 237 and a half double top. I think it's going to be a short up there on Apple. If we do get to that 237.5, it cannot seem to crack that 236. But let's go over to Adair. Apparently, we got to take care of some business.
We're going to take a look here as well at KVUE. This is Kenvue holding nice support around that area, just below that $23 level on the 15-minute chart. Strong volume, more or less consistently off the open. We did have Starboard reportedly with an activist investment interest, according to Wall Street Journal. And we are brought to you by Trade the Pool. We're thrilled to announce Trader TV and Trade the Pool's huge giveaway. 7 traders will win $20,000 in buying power to trade with. This is your opportunity to start trading and getting funded with Trade the Pool for free. The registration runs from October 21st to 25th, and winners will be announced on October 29th. Don't miss your chance to get funded. Trade the Pool is a prop trading firm that funds stock traders through a unique evaluation model. The firm allows traders to trade over 12,000 stocks and ETFs, including penny stocks, with the freedom to trade during pre-market or after hours and bypass the PDT rule. Traders who pass the evaluation receive funds and share the profits with the company. Join now for free. The link is in the description. Stock and roll.
All right, thank you, Adara, right there. And again, if you're following some of the trades that we put on today, so far it's going to be a 3-for-3 day, and that's what we're trying to do here is give you guys winning opportunities and winning trade ideas. And so far, so good here on DJT, over $31. Just trying to hold on to see where we go on that one. But you know, in honesty, right? I mean, NVIDIA right now, I'll be making like. It's more than 10x on NVIDIA, easily more than 10 times what I make on NVIDIA than all those other names. So we'll just continue to sit there and watch out for it. I mean, look, if Seattle can go back up to $3, then okay, then it would maybe be in contention for something like that. And if DJT can get maybe to $34 and I don't sell anymore, then maybe that could happen as well. But right now, Neil, that's 1, 2, 3 in a row right there for today. Glad to be back here on a Monday. But yeah, those are the big 3 today. DJT, NVIDIA, and Seattle Mobile. So far, so good. We've only traded those 3 names, and they're all banging right now. So if there's anything else you guys want to look at, I mean, Palantir was a name that I had looked at earlier today, but it just didn't come through. I'm just trying to be patient with what we're doing. Mara, with that move down today with Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin really taking it on the chin there, down to 67.4 right now today. So, but you know what? It doesn't even matter. I mean, we've talked about this before. There's NVIDIA, and it's a big one. So, like I said, it'll be a big one today. It's sitting here in the account. It's only 10:20. We're still going. So, what's up, Chill Vibes and everybody else there in the chat? Yeah, you guys can see these trades. So I hope that we're all good on all of that front. There goes DJT, another one. Oh my. Money. Oh, we had Money Mitch on the show a little while ago, man. I like that name. But right here, so far, so good with what we're doing. Some of us need some more trade ideas. So let's go over to Adara at the desk with small cap recap.
IWM pushing lower here, though we did get a bit of a bottoming tail candle starting to form in this most recent 15-minute candle here. Russell 2000, as you can see, continuing to find a bit of resistance just above 227s. There's been some interesting support resistance interactions at least a few days ago here, worth noting, just above 225, but we actually ran into the 224 level to the downside here for the Russell 2000. So as of right now, that downtrend persists. Definitely not a downtrend, though, for a lot of these small cap runners. BIV removed from its highs. I wasn't seeing any news on this, but it's worth noting we do have a 31% insider owned. So decent percentage of this company is owned by insiders from what I'm seeing here. We also have a float of about 5.5 million shares, so pretty small float for BIVI, which also ran last week alongside DRUG and SOBR. SYTA, we know Sean's been involved in this name. This is actually a previous runner as well, has run in the past. It's up over 100% here, 120%, announcing that its new 5G cellular radio handsets are going to be now available on T-Mobile's network. So 5G news for SYTA, which also has about a 33% short float. Last but not least, also around a 30+% short float for SAVE. This company is a smaller cap, around $200 million market cap. though of course larger than the last two names we talked about here, announcing that they've extended their debt refinancing deadline and also are expecting to have over $1 billion of liquidity by the end of 2024. So SAV, near a high of days here, about 50%, also decent short float, guys.
But BIVI was like a sympathy play on Friday and looking like it got almost to VWAP. So remember we said, let it calm down. There was that Eat Fresh that did a similar move, needed to pull back into VWAP and retest some of those prior areas. So you try for the higher low, now looking for the play, not quite to VWAP, but the whole price was 537, 538. It just made a bounce off of that. Want to see it give me a consolidation at this particular point. All right, the trend's starting to come back in on NVIDIA. So there was a sharper trend line in here, which is now being tested since that original breakout. So NVIDIA is about to lose it. If we close underneath that 141.20, going to take another leg out. So this is a 3-minute chart up there. But, steeper trend line after that secondary breakout on NVIDIA is about to get lost. For the first time today, since the open, Boeing is finally looking a little bit decent here. So there's a bit of a rounded bottom here on Boeing. Needs to hold on to this higher low. So the breakout, pre-market 160.5, looks like that's where it's dipping into on Boeing. So would like to see it either hold above it in a higher low that I can give to 160.5, or we can just hold on to VWAP, do a little bit of a VWAP consolidation. So just want to be patient with it. We're in that portion of the day that it's not like a big break and then it'll run in like 3 minutes or so, and then you can get that quick flash trade. You got to set these ones up a little bit tighter here on Boeing. Want to make sure we get the trade right. And then Apple, still no retest. It's not getting to this 237.5. Seems like the lower high is the one on Apple. So we're going to play a mean reversion on Apple off of that lower high. So if it's not going to get to 237.5 and we think it's an all-time high fade trade, then this is the current trend. It's about to close underneath it. I'd look for a close bar under here that I can give a tight stop to a 235.80. Let's go up to Adara.
Keep an eye on PLBY, Playboy. Worth noting, this one has a little bit less volume than some of these other small cap names we've seen. It actually just reached 1 million shares traded on the day. It's worth noting that this one got a bit of a spike after Bloomberg reported that Hefner Capital, which of course associated with Hugh Hefner there, has offered $100 million in equity to buy the Playboy brand. So Hefner Capital looking to buy the Playboy brand for $100 million plus equity. It's worth noting here, we've got a 7.5% short float on PLBY. 35.7% of the company is insider owned from what I'm seeing. So PLBY on watch with this Hefner Capital offer, guys.
Take it back.
We got out, it's not unfortunately, we planned it fine, just unfortunate that it went back up 5 or 6 cents. So I got out there once it broke that 220. I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna take it out. Still a positive name here today for us. So SYTA, positive name, but barely, as it kind of just fell out. I just didn't want to go red on the name. So we have we only have 3 green names: DJT, NVIDIA, and Seattle today. So we'll have to watch out. I do think that there's a chance you were looking at that Bivy there, a chance to get that back to those levels. And then Alibaba is another one that I think, although nothing really now, I do think this is something interesting there at that 300, at that $100 level. And then honestly, we got more out on DJT up there at 31.40. I'm still waiting for that 60 level. Would like to see this name break a little bit higher on here, but we're long. I mean, we could take another. I mean, this is what I kind of do is just throw out. There we go. We get a 28 there as it just runs us over. You see, the liquidity doesn't matter. I'm just hitting offer, enter, and getting out at spot. So we'll take another 25 cents right there at these levels. So that's okay. I mean, maybe now we'll take another piece. This is why I have so many trades. It's because we put on the shares on levels that we believe in, and then we get out, hopefully, for profitable trades and not losing ones. But again, it's kind of hard for everybody to figure it all out, maybe, of what we're doing. That's why you can always ask us in the chat what we're up and down on. That's why I wanted to tell you guys about the Seattle, because looking at this, you might be like, I don't know, is this guy up or down? So we're just flat on it. Our bigger trades was taking this at 250. We didn't have a big piece there, but averaging into this area against the 200 is what we were doing. And then that last fill right there is at 12s. and our best outs is like 30s and stuff like that. So, hey, look, man, still a green name, obviously, as we'll sit here and talk to you about it. But yeah, that's it. And I can, speak for myself, and Neil can speak for himself too. But NVIDIA right there is the best name. And like I had said right there, DJT and NVIDIA, the three names that I've traded today, all will be temporarily anyways, unless DJT really comes down, all going to be green names there today. So far, so good. The market hasn't moved that much, man. I mean, we did have a nice move up early, which got us away from our initial thought of shorting the TQs. But right now, maybe we're sort of settling down. Remember, we're at 20,500. So that's going to be quite a key level there. So we have not given up anything on NVIDIA yet. We'll take it out there at 30s because, and it just bounced off the 50 period. So I think NVIDIA goes higher from here. We're now in the 60s. See if we get it out at the high of the day. Here goes NVIDIA. Again, it is your trade of the day. It's by far the #1 stock. It's NVIDIA. It's all over the sticky note. Go find it at Trader TV, Sean, with only a half hour left.
Only half an hour to go. Thank you, AirX for the super chat. As average retail traders, this is an interesting question because prop traders and retail are very, very different things. We'll get that out of the way. How much money per day is a good amount to earn for you? People usually say 5%, but 5% could be 5 or 5,000. As a prop trader, you should only care about as a prop trader, you have a daily loss limit. So you don't want to exceed that, obviously, but that gives you a barometer for if it's my losing days are going to be controlled to that, you want to be trying to win around that level. But the real answer is, are you trading for a full-time living, or are you trading as like a part-time gig? And if it's full-time, you need to be able to make enough money to eat and pay your bills. If you're trading part-time, then you can have something like a profit goal. Retail traders and that whole 5% up or 10% up return, to me, that never really makes a heck of a lot of sense. What you should focus on is always just making quality trades and quality decisions. How much am I risking on this trade relative to when it wins? And then is that going to be consistently profitable? And then try scaling from there. Obviously, only put in what you can afford to lose from a general sense, so that if you are a retail trader, you're not essentially gambling away your future or anything along those lines. But a prop trader has to worry about their daily loss limit and then going from there. It has nothing to do with percentage gains. Shout out to you, AIRX, for that super chat. We do appreciate it. But it's a very different story trading someone else's money than it is your own, which is what we do. So just a bit of a quick reload here on this trend line break on Apple. It did pull back in a prior high, which is going to be the first out. But see that candle right in there? We break back out, and I jump out. It's a very simplistic trading idea where I'm short in here to there. If we get a push all the way into VWAP, great. I'm looking outs there. I'm looking outs into 235 even to 235.20 based on this rejection it had. You have gap from there to there. Then you have a consolidation area here in front of 235, and then you got VWAP in Stowe. So if we get that, then it'll be a nice little mean rejection trade or mean reversion trade based on what we saw in the futures and based on the fact futures are reverting a little bit here, and then based on the fact that Apple had this 236 toss. So we waited for that move, looked for the trend line break, and now we're into it. Stop is in, first target hit, second target we're going to put in back into VWAP as it's 10:30. Let's go to Adara for the crypto update.
Bitcoin doesn't look ready to reclaim 70,000 quite yet. We do have a pretty intense bearish engulfing candle, engulfing not just yesterday's price action, but the last few days here, forming as of right now on the daily chart. We got as high as 69,400 right now. We're trying to hold on to 67.3. So about a 2,000 point drop from our highs here on BTC on this daily chart. Let's see how we hold up from this point. It's actually worth noting from what I'm seeing, apparently, there's some bullishness on BTC when you look at the MACD. So the moving average convergence divergence histogram apparently is widely used to track sentiment here for Bitcoin. Apparently it's actually turned bullish or turned positive for the first time since April this year. So keep an eye on BTC with regards to that MACD histogram. Could be an interesting data piece to use for analyzing sentiment there. We do have Bitcoin down about 2%. Ethereum, which is holding on to 2,700 as of this morning, now below that level, hanging on to 26.75, down about 1.5%. Interestingly enough, we actually do have some strength, though, in some of these other crypto-related names. So BNB slightly negative, Toncoin and Cardano slightly negative, but Solana up 2.5%, Dogecoin up 1 2/3%. It's a very mixed picture, though. It seems like generally more negative than positive, guys.
There goes DJT again, so we'll hit the siren up for that one as we just continue to sort of add to the stockpile right here of what today has been. We can check out Playboy right now, PLBY, as we heard some information. I can't believe this name is only going to be worth $100 million, but there it goes right now. Takeover rumor there, as Adara had sort of mentioned there for Playboy, up that 23%. Yeah, I guess it's been a lot worse. So I guess if you were at 50 cents just about a month ago, then, or a month and a half ago, then maybe you would take some kind of a buyout up in and around this area. So we'll wait to see if that comes through or not. We've only been trading 3 names, man. Seattle Mobile, which was a great one. Although great one to trade, not one for me. Again, we are flat on this name. We're up on it, but flat. So we're up nothing on that one. And then DJT, we're up. This will be the second most profitable name here as DJT now. There it is. Oh, right, Neil. Here we go. Bang. Bang. Another 60 cents right now as we get some chicken dinner winners happening for us here on DJT. So a pretty good play as we continue to go back up to the upside now for DJT as we go long at 31. So we've been in charge this whole morning. Like nothing has been a problem ever since we did take that long there in NVIDIA right off the jump, your sticky note trade of the day right there. So I see you are now out of Apple.
Yeah, Bill, I want to shout out Bill Chanel. Keep preaching it, quality trades, quality decisions. That's what it's all about. And ultimately, no one can ever be confused if you say why I'm getting in, where I'm getting out, and where my stop is. Now, I could be back into this, but I don't like trend lines for the back end. Now, some traders will tell you, yeah, but if it does this trend and it holds underneath 236, then it's still a valid trade. Okay, fair enough. But then to me, it needs to get to 236 to set up that kind of a trade. But I said my stop was this candle. I showed you where we wanted to be taking profits, and now it's a flat trade. The way I look at it is if when it doesn't work, I can have it only pull back to first support, not get all the way, and I get myself a flat trade in there and can make another trade if we like it. Great. If it goes to VWAP, then it's obviously going to be a good one. But again, make a decision. Like, why am I in? Where am I in? Where am I out? And then move on to the next trading opportunity. Now, obviously, I said Bivy I liked for another long. It didn't really give you, I said I wanted a consolidation. To me, this isn't really what I was going for. When this is not a consolidation that I like. When it's early on, I don't mind that first available dip because I'm expecting a parabolic move and a breakout of the high. So if it does a parabolic move off that first halt consolidation, then go into another up halt, I don't mind taking that shot in here without a consolidation. But this to me isn't the consolidation. Like it just kind of dipped under 6, held on to 540 where you're risking 10%, and then now it's right back above that 6 level where it failed earlier. I'm looking for something a little bit tighter of a consolidation. I compared it to EFSH. And look, this isn't a mover today. But if you looked at what this was doing underneath VWAP, this is what I would be looking for on the back end. Something like that. Like give me this tight 15, 20 minutes where you can hold a low, maybe wick the bottom to get some people out, stair step it to the upside. Something like that's what I'm looking for on BIVI. Just a bit of a tighter entry. There. Boeing's still looking pretty weak as far as I'm concerned. There's really not much to dig into with regards to Boeing. I do like I said, I like the long on Boeing, but at no point has it looked like a good setup. You've had some bounces on Boeing, but none of them have been a trade setup that I particularly like. So it's trying to hold on to VWAP. It's just bounced now a couple of times off 160.5. A little bit of a rounded top. No hold of VWAP there. As a matter of fact, like the second it tried to hold, your confirmation candle was a rejection above VWAP in there. So it needs to get back into the upside. Show me some kind of a higher low setup. Bivy could halt, but I do feel like that one's starting to slow down a little bit and we'll have to back away from it. Alibaba, another one that's going to end up flat for me. It gave you that first entry, said no reload. Now it's just hugging VWAP. Ideally, I don't want this thing hugging VWAP all lunchtime because I don't think there's going to be a trade. One of these is either trading away from VWAP to give you a mean reversion, I'm talking about Chinese ADRs, or you've got a slight trend that you can follow along. If it's hugging VWAP, just diddling in the middle, then I don't want to trade a Chinese ADR during lunchtime. So we'll have to back away from this. Okay, now NVIDIA's starting to lose that trend one more time. So I feel like NVIDIA, we're about to get that VWAP test. And remember, I got some out here when it lost the trend line with the idea that we're going to get back in with a test of VWAP or a test of 140. So it seems to me like that VWAP test is incoming as we speak. Just got to be patient for it. Looks like it wants to get there for the first time pretty much since 9:30.
Yeah, as the NVIDIA whisperer there, we can co-sign that. Coming back into VWAP could be a trade. So I have 20% left. Yeah, that's about right. 20% left. We just got a whole bunch out there at 40s and 50s right there. We talked about having about 40% left. Then we were able to, I mean, as it was coming back up to highs, we're like, we're getting this out. So we did that, and here comes NVIDIA. It goes on these moves all of the time. Okay, we're 30 cents in the money. Let's take out something else, punch out right now. A couple 33s there we just got on DJT. It looks like we did get our 60s, so it did come back up there. We did get a 59 print there on DJT as it ripped back up. Remember, our stop on this one, I'm gonna now move it. That's the 50 period, so a little break through 31. So let's do that together right now. This is, Neil talks about risk to reward, right? Not only do you want to look for the best trades, but you also want to try to make profitable ones, and that's what's going to always set up for you. You just have to have your stops in the right spot, right? And then take profit when the profit is there. So for DJT, I'm playing with house money. So right now we're 40 cents in the money, and my stop is going for 5 cents. So $30 right now, 94. So the stop will be about 10 cents, my bad on that one. And then we'll see what happens there. I just don't want to get out immediately if and when we break that level, but we'll sit here and wait to see if there's going to be anything on that one for now. So that, of course, is NVIDIA and DJT. So there's our stop on DJT. We just got a piece out at 33. Our stop will be here at 31, sorry. We break through 31. But if you're going to be a little more conservative with it, then I see what I did there, conservative DJT, but with your trading, you're gonna wanna get out at 31.20. It's coming into the 50 period moving average right now. So again, we're here to make some money. So we'll give it a little bit of a second, but if it breaks lower, we're gonna get out. We have 20% left on DJT. So there's the breakthrough 20. Get out if you'd like. Here it comes in, a little more than we thought right now. There's the break, downside right there. It's too bad about, I know you're talking about maybe reloading that Apple, but there it comes back in to the downside right now comes the market. And there goes NVIDIA, so into 140.40. We'll see what winds up happening now as the market comes back in. I may reload this NVIDIA, but I may not. All right, over to the screen with Derek.
Interestingly enough, on a day where both indices are fairly flat, we have a lot of weakness on this board. Finance, sharply weak here. PLD, notably red here. Prologis getting a downgrade from Goldman Sachs after its earnings last week, but this whole sector pretty weak. Health technology almost entirely red here. Commercial services, very red. Consumer non-durables, pretty weak. Retail trade, definitely lots of weakness, including TGT there, sorry, Target, very sharply to the downside. Consumer durables as well, led by Tesla to the downside. Transportation, uber strong, but the rest of the sector pretty weak. Now let's talk, of course, about these tech sectors. It's worth noting of the technology services sector, the one area where there is some strength seems to be cybersecurity. PANW, FTNT, and CRWD all up by more than 1%. Palo Alto is actually leading this group, though, because we did have this company getting a name drop here on CNBC's final trades this morning. So keep an eye on Palo Alto. We also have to talk about NVIDIA, of course, leading this electronic technology sector to the upside. Otherwise, though, pretty weak sector, at least flat to weak, but Boeing also looking good here on news that its machinist strike could come potentially to an end with this contract proposal set to be ratified or put to a vote there on Wednesday. Also, some extra orders there from Emirates for some more 777 jets. So lots of news coming out of that sector. Keep an eye on so many names here, guys.
About this in 1 second, but oh boy, what a reload that was right there on NVIDIA as it continues to go to the upside right there one more time. Man, are we pretty proud of that play right there on NVIDIA. So I hope those of you that have that. We told you, shh, the whisperer right now. Okay, there it is, man. Scan Hey, I thought we're doing e-signal. We got trade ideas up there right now. Scan that QR code in our link. There it is right now. Thank you for that one. It is e-signal, man. It is the program that I've been using for years and years and years. What's up, Joe? How you doing over there right now? I'm sure this guy uses e-signal. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite experience right now as NVIDIA going off. Infinite data, instant trading, charts that will change the game. What I really like about it is the instant reliability, the instant data feeds, all of that. We love e-signal. Make sure you hit that QR code in the description. All right, here we go, Neil. It's a big one. There it goes, man. We talked about what we wanted to do. It is sticky note idea reloaded right there at 140. Of course, it's going to come into 140, and we're going to take it long again. We mentioned that. We did it. There it goes. It is NVIDIA. Huge move down there. We'll take that. Trade the best names. Trade with the best. And there it goes, man. It's NVIDIA. Huge move right there. Back upside. Put another 30 cents in your pocket. This is how you scalp. This is what day trading is all about. We talk about how tough of a business this is. Hopefully, we're just making that a little bit more clear and everything every single day. I want to thank everybody for hitting the like and the subscribe. We'll take another out right there. Let's go. It's a spinning the money around here for NVIDIA today. I know, Neil, that 140 breaker is going to be your best trade there too. So congratulations on that one, as there goes NVIDIA.
Yeah, it's a rinse and repeater. Like, obviously on Friday, it didn't give you any kind of a breakout trade in NVIDIA, and there weren't a lot of breakouts to be had. But you had to remember, you go back into the well, and we sort of said this in the afternoon show on Friday. And we could have had the same thing in Apple. Apple just couldn't quite get there, and I did not reload Apple short. I'm going to get to why in a second. You were mentioning the market did pull back. It might have worked, but it didn't actually set up. But you need to hold this trend. Now, obviously, I'm not sitting in there on that bid because I want confirmation. I'll show you what I'm looking at in Boeing right now. I want some actual confirmation and an out point on a reload. I don't have an out point on a reload unless it's just around 140, and you're still looking like you're in the dip phase. I'm looking for it to hold on to a little bit more strength before I get in. Boeing for the first time, and it's weird that Boeing did this, but on that big red candle in the market, Boeing held above VWAP for the first time and broke out this prior level, 161.75, that it was holding underneath on the last VWAP test. So I'm now long in Boeing, going to give it to just underneath VWAP. It took a while, but it made some higher lows and confirmed above VWAP while the market was actually falling as well. Amazon's making some power moves. Oh, there's one thing I wanted to mention about Amazon. It wasn't on the watch list, and it wasn't really on anyone's radar. I don't think there was a reason for Amazon to be on the radar. That said, sometimes history repeats itself. Check out 187 here on Amazon. It's about to get back into this level. But the same thing on Friday, liquidity grab under 187, eventually got back to the highs. Today, liquidity grab under 187. If it loses this wick bottom, I think Amazon is in trouble, and we're going to see 185 on Amazon. So it tried to do the same move in a strong market, but couldn't get back above key resistance here on Amazon, which ultimately, if you lose a fresh low, that's very, very bearish because it's kind of like a fail break above 189 going on here on Amazon. So watch out for this. I'm alert to this losing 186.20. 25 or so. If we do that, I think there's going to be a dollar push to the downside there. So NVIDIA is trying to now hold that 140 level. It's still on a downward swing in here. I have my stop set. That reload in here, my stop's been in on the last little bit at the exact same level the whole time. So unless I see it bounce off of here, still not looking for a re-entry point. It's looking all red. And we waited all morning for that shot in Boeing, but tight stop. Has to hold VWAP. If it doesn't, got to wait for 160.50. Try to keep it in the pocket. It can still form a bit of a trend reversal to the upside, but it's got to hold on to that 167 or 161 to 160 half level. So we took our shot at it early, but tight stop and wait for it to get lower. As the market's now bleeding back in, I don't want to be fighting anything on the way back. Adara?
This part of the show is brought to you by Firefly Neuroscience. Firefly Neuroscience has taken a bold step at advancing brain health technology. In collaboration with Bright Minds Biosciences, Firefly's innovative AI-powered platform has successfully analyzed data from a groundbreaking phase 1 clinical trial, using advanced EEG technology to track brain activity. This data unlocks new potential in treating neurological and mental disorders, reinforcing Firefly's position at the forefront of brain health innovation. As they prepare for phase 2, this partnership signals exciting developments for the future of neuropsychiatric treatments. Firefly Neuroscience, shaping the future of brain health.
All right. I guess our brain health is doing pretty good so far right here because there it is again, man. It's a reload and it's another chicken dinner winner there for NVIDIA off of that 140. I mean, there it goes. And there goes also DJT to the downside. So that also a really good out. I mean, there goes NVIDIA right there back up to the upside, man. The best just keeps on getting better and better and better right now as we continue to go. You're about to get a better and better and better show right now. In only 13 minutes, you've got Sharif and Joe willing to go. I don't know what they're doing. Are they doing options, gaps, and options? All of your questions with the two smartest guys around here. It is Sharif and it is Joe coming through with you in just a matter of 13 minutes. But if you're looking for some trading right now, we're 3 for 3 over here today, and that's a chicken dinner winner every day, all day. So there it goes. NVIDIA, another reload, but we're getting lighter and lighter on this, man. We just took that out as we got right back into VWAP. We're not trying to fight anything right now, man. That's that 140 came in. We take it out again and just start putting it up. Right? Like just these little pieces that we're getting out every time is adding to our net. So there we go. Like we'll take out another 14 right there. We'll take out a 17. We'll just keep on taking this out as the market has trended lower. So we don't need to fight anything. Now we're waiting in the 30s and waiting in the 40s. We're clearly trading with house money right here on NVIDIA, trying to put out some decent ones for you right there. So I think we might have touched out at the top. I mean, NVIDIA has done this many days where we get into this area and then fade the rest of the day. So I don't want to just keep on reloading this. This will be the absolute last chance here for NVIDIA. We'll wait to see if it wants to go. My stop is 139.80. So if we can break below that one, I mean, we're just taking 20 cents right now like it's candy, right? So obviously we don't want to lose that and then give it all back on the way down. So we'll sit here, see if we can get a little bit. Okay, now that let's take a little bit more out here at 29s if we can and just solidify that 1-to-1 ratio right here on what is P&L number one for the show today and another big stock here with NVIDIA. Your trade idea off the sticky note here, number one trade idea continues to print. Now on the reload, another 30 cents in the money.
Yeah, it's starting to set up a little bit. You see a contrast in styles, but it's looking like it wants to hold above this 140. I'm looking for essentially like this reload. And again, everyone looks for, it's basically the same setup, only this was stronger. It was a rejection here on that big push, but it was a consolidation on strength. Now, like I said, it's looking a little bit weaker. You do have a bit of a candle of indecision that if it holds higher, I look for that reload above. And finally, Bivy is looking a little bit better on a tighter consolidation off of this 580 level. So higher lows, 580 is the level on the daily chart as well on BIVI, but starting to hold out and about. Like there's your rejection wick. Want to give any kind of a re-entry back into like 575 here. So just trying to pick it up and just give it it's a relatively tight stop for the stock, but it's giving you now several tests, holding on to the prior, I guess, halt price, higher lows back in, holding on to this 580 area, that 575 looking pretty good for a stop there. Let's go to Adara for some money talks, although I know silver is not breaking out, that's for sure.
I buy NVIDIA.
Pretty impressive so far for the DXY, trying to reclaim almost all of that move to the downside we had on Friday. Currently trying to get to 103.8, the next area of potential resistance here. Could be 104.57. That was the kind of next resistance level. But it's worth noting we're actually at a previous support level that we've been topping and turning around here since Thursday. That would, of course, be that area around 103.75, 103.8 that we found some support in mid-July 2024. Only piece of economic data we got was this leading index change month-over-month for September. Slightly lower than expected, so negative 0.5% versus negative 0.3% expected. The rest of this docket today is going to be Fed speakers. We have Fed's Kashkari at 1 p.m. Stay tuned for him for trading during that midday session. Then we'll get Fed Schmidt and Fed's daily after the close. And we already got comments from Fed's Logan. Fed's Logan saying, amongst other things, that they're expecting gradual rate cuts if we have the economy meeting its forecast, and the Fed will need to be, quote, nimble with regards to its monetary policy choices, though the economy right now seems to be strong and stable. Noting as well that there could be some downside risk to the jobs market. Also, Fed's Logan saying that business contacts that they have been optimistic with forward outlook, though there are some risks going on to be aware of here as well. So some Fed comments from Fed's Logan. Fed's Kashkari, though, we know can move the market. So let's see what comes of that at 1 p.m., if anything, guys.
As Kashkari moving the markets. Right now, what's for lunch? All right, today, probably disappointed for most, a little disappointed for me, but we'll see if it works out or not. I don't really like it on top of the salad, but we'll see if it comes here today or not. There goes NVIDIA right now, a 60-cent winner there, Neil. Back on the board right there as we're making it move around here a little bit. It's sesame toasted salmon with Korean bulgogi glaze right there. Warm, savory couscous salad. For me, that's a win every single time with sweet potatoes and sun blush fruit. Yesterday we had, oh man, burrata. Oh my God, we had roasted cherry tomatoes with burrata and French baguette in the oven. Warm steamed asparagus and broccolini. That's a win with spinach and kale salad. And of course, you know your boy did chicken wings yesterday right there. So we had a chicken dinner winner along with that appetizer right there. And here it comes in right now. Nice move upside. It's NVIDIA, baby. And there it goes. It is the #1 trade today. It's going again. It's 140 and it's moonshot right there through for NVIDIA. I mean, that was about as easy a reload as it can get, guys. Right back in there into 140, we take it, and there it goes. Another big move to the upside for NVDA. Man, it's 7 minutes left. I called the hairdresser, funny, the barber there, and we'll see if he's coming in. We'll see if we can get that. Normally, barbers won't work on Mondays. We'll see if that comes in there again for that.
Mine does.
Go Dodgers, go everything as we go, and hey, man, go market and go trading right there. Hopefully, you're able to make a little bit of profit or a few profitable trades today. I know they've been few and far between.
Have they though? So NVIDIA, by the way, I just took some out on NVIDIA, but BIVI wall seller at $6 here. So we got 1-to-1. It tried to press into 2-to-1 at this resistance at 620. And when it got there, there was a big seller that jumped up for about 40 to 50,000 shares. Took the leg out about 5 cents before we wanted to. But remember, we had a stop of 12 pennies on that one. So it's this rejection candle in as it breaks back up with this stop in here. So very different trade from what we were doing earlier in terms of just finding it. Like in here, it was a heavy push down on the initial. So different trade, basing it off of hold this level, there's your rejection candle, there's your in, very, very tight stop. The only thing that changed was instead of getting out in front of 625, there was a seller right there at like 610. So I jumped out at 608 for the second third of the trade. Still like the consolidation that's happening on BIVI, but until it actually gets into VWAP, just gonna be a little bit tighter with those entries. The idea being, and we said this with Fresh or E Fresh or whatever that stock was, 1847, whatever holding company. All you need is that one shot on E Fresh or one of these. Like you hold out for a little bit into the 7 or the 725 and you take profit in, but then you let that house money to get you that bigger win trade, allows you to have a bit of a tighter stopped entry that you can hold for a bigger win. So that's essentially what the look is. Yeah, I could still be in it, but I want to see something a little bit more clean. And then just for why I took some out of NVIDIA. So basically what just like the last little push, it did set up, like very similar, it did set up that green candle and then looking for the entry in here, just was very, very tight and did not quite get that punch through. So ideally, it would have been like a long right there to give to that about 140.35. Just didn't get the fill on it, but it did hold on to like this trend. If it doesn't break this trend back out, reload or not, I want to take something out in front of that pop. So if we do hold this trend line, I want to make sure we're taking some profit in, whether I'm reloaded or not, that's a place that I'd want to get some out regardless. And if it breaks back out above it, I'd be looking for longs over. So still waiting for this one to give you either a break back above the trend line or a pull back in that sets up for that entry point. Boeing said we'd be patient with it. It's now setting up another long, this time off of 161. But the first one was a hold above VWAP. Now you've got successive higher lows on Boeing. So as long as it can hold on to 160.5, that one's going to still look good. Apple, it is what it is. Obviously, if I kind of just reload for the sake of it, it does get down into VWAP, but that was a very specific trade here on Apple. It was a trend reversion trade from there to there. It broke the trend line. We took the short. Now that's not setting up at all. Now it's just simply the 236 level. But Apple looks way too strong for the short trade. So I'm going to stay away from Apple because it's not showing me any kind of a good entry point. Not much happening with Tesla. I kind of felt like it wasn't going to do a $3 range. At least that was true, but it's also not testing $222 there on Tesla. A bit of a disappointment, I think, for me at least, that Tesla didn't really give you the press to short it anywhere that I would have liked it. Above 221 was what we're targeting on TSLA. We'll leave it in and say if it gets up there, I'll short it this afternoon. We just have to be patient for it. That's what it's all about.
All right, 2.5 minutes left. It's amazing as we talk about, trading over and over again. Like, you got out of the way of this one downside, right? You got to have your stops in, right? I mean, we talk about that. Like, there's DJT again. Oops. Here's DJT right there. So again, have your stop so you're not part of all of that. But look where we bounced off of again, $30. So we had written that down. We should have maybe looked at it. We are too loving what's happening with NVIDIA. It's back-to-back dollar clubs right here as we get it early off the first break, which we really loved. This is going to be the big trade, and then there's the reload right there. Look, I just trying to find the best. You guys there, Coffee Trader, you just said, I'm surprised I didn't take that TQQ. Yeah, look, we nailed it. We talked about that at $75. We wrote down on the sticky note 74.50 up to 75, but that broke. So we should have maybe looked at it as we were falling back down. But, we'll leave the day here, and it's not often this is said, but we'll leave the day right now at our highest spot right now with only 3 trades today. DJT long, that's a winner. Big time, right? This is going to be the second P&L number 2 here on the show today, DJT. P&L number 1, me and Neil both have this one. NVIDIA right there, right? We have it 3. We have it infinitely more, but we have it there, and there. 3 reloads on NVIDIA, really giving it the go there. So we'll have to wait to see if anything else happens. And then a name that I wouldn't mind getting in, I really like Google. But again, I'm very biased to this, but I like the stock. I think it works over here above this 160. So any kind of dip buys of dramatic nature, I think we'll get some Google, especially if we get this kind of a move again here in the futures. I kind of like this back to 162.50. That could be a name. Neil just talked a little bit about Tesla. What's Disney doing? We looked at that earlier a little bit here. Disney, yeah. So a little bit of a fade breaking through the low of the day. It just comes up here on my e-signal scanner, so you guys can try to look for that one. I mean, NVIDIA is still working 85 cents in the money now, 85. But if that breaks below 96 on Disney, I guess it's not that much danger. You still have all the way, 96 is danger, but not right here, not 96.50 or 60. This is the level that you're looking at for Disney down there in and around 96. But oh boy, what a day. There it goes again for us, man, 140. On a day where it's been not much happening, like we said, there it is right there. Big time trading. We'll end the day at our highest spot, and it's just all NVIDIA, really. Relatively flat on Seata. DJT's been a good one, but NVIDIA really dwarfing everything. So I hope you all have it. We have gap fills and whatnot. We'll go see about a quick little haircut, and we'll be back after that. So yeah, man, all good there today. Been a good day there. Thank you to everybody today. Thanks to Randy for the coffee. It's great to have Ramin back. Thank you, Bears vs. Bulls, Fabian, and everybody. All right.
Before we
Half decent
I'd
today.
say one thing. There was a lot of questions about silver. I know I mentioned it in the chat to a couple of people, silver failing that breakout from last week, but it just bounced off of prior close. So I'm looking at this one right now for a hold of a higher low. We like a gap fill back into prior close. Some people might be looking at PAS, Pan American Silver, but I'm looking at SLV, trending back to the downside after breaking out on the daily chart. Big break for silver, but I wanted to hold on to this 30.60. If it can put in a higher low, I'm looking long into this current bottom. Silver, big time break. It's kind of trying to squeeze to the upside. That's what happened on Friday, but that's what we're looking for. So we're going to go over to the midday. Shout out to Sharif and Joseph. Go get them, boys.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That's your boy, Joe. And I'm Sharif, and we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. There we go. We got the world's greatest mod, baby. Good.